expecting a pretty big season from Kyle and, giving him full backing to do so.
And last week, Norwood had, I think, 41 scoring shots, so obviously not defensively, wasn't right. What do you look to change this week and sort of limit the influence of someone like a Sam Rowe or El Napoli?
Yeah, look, I think it was tricky conditions out there, so we may have got let off the hook a few times with the breeze and then inaccurate kicking, but at the same time, I think we started the game with 7 or 8 behind as well, so we sort of shot ourselves in the foot there. Defensively, it probably wasn't where we wanted to be as a team, probably more further up as opposed to putting our defenders under the pump there, so we want to try and fix that before it even gets into that. So that's been a focus of ours this week, and we'll be looking to rectify that today.
And with Mark Jamo coming into the side, obviously Jake Spencer's been dominant in the ruck. Do you have Jamo as a target up forward and sort of keep him there, or does he play any time in the ruck?
Yeah, well, we'll sort of see how the game goes out. He'll be starting forward, and then we'll giving Spencer a chop out here and there as the game goes on. But we see them again as another weapon or a strength of ours to sort of be able to have 2 quality ruckmen that have got AFL experience to come in and throw their weight around a bit, and hopefully give our mids first use.
Your clearances last week, and speaking of that, so obviously Jake will be rucking today. Zach Clark for Doncaster East, which will give you an advantage, and clearances was an area you probably would have been most pleased with last week. You actually beat Norwood there. So is that something you'll look to take advantage of today, especially with Jack Marn and yourself coming back into the side as well?
Yeah, 100%. Even though we probably looked better on the stat sheet last week in clearances, I still don't think it was probably how we used them. I think Norwood sort of escaped the stoppages and clearances a lot easier than what we did. So we're looking to sort of make sure that if we are on top, as we were 2 weeks ago, that we sort of get something out of our centre clearances and our clearances around the ground. So we just worry about what we're going to do and control what we can control, and then hopefully the rest will have to take care of itself.
One of the things, Chris, that when Doncaster's best form is when you do have a tall forward or a tall guy playing out of the goal square. And I've noticed in those years when you were successful, those sort of players actually gave you a more a direct way or a direct path. Can you make the best of those 2 ruckmen and get them to play a similar sort of role throughout the season?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think every side would like that big full forward, no matter where it is, and bring it to ground. So all you want is opportunities and not have defenders take uncontested marks and they exit out the other way. So our goal is to sort of, make sure we have representation across all lines, and if we're not going to mark it, we at least give ourselves another bite of the cherry at ground level.
And just for you, yourself as a coach, is there any sort of different preparation you take when you coach it from the sidelines or coming in today as if you're playing? Is there much of a difference today than last week?
I've only really had the one. Well, today's the first day of actually having a real hit out of actually playing and coaching. So, no, look, it's all pretty similar. You're still here early enough, and you're going through the sides, and it's all just it's all normal for me.
Just on that, Chris, seeing it's a new role, how have you structured it? Obviously, you'll have some trusty lieutenants on the boundary side, keeping an overall. And obviously, you being front and square and playing midfield, you'll obviously get a good feel for it. Is that going to be a later times where you need to come off the ground, do you feel?
Oh, look, I won't need to come off the ground for coaching reasons. No. I think when I took on this job, that part of the process was to find the right people around myself who I was comfortable with, and also who I was confident could do the job if I'm out on the ground, which has been the plan for most of the time. So I've got full faith in my bench support. I think we've got 3 of them out there.
Good.
Great experience. The guys I know well. The guys I know they understand really well. So combined with myself out on the field, getting the feel for it, using our runner, I think we'll be fine. Yeah.
Cool. What about the rig, and how's the body first of all? Because obviously a few injuries in recent years, and is there a little bit of nervous about getting back out there?
Yeah. Look, I think COVID hasn't been kind to myself. Just at my age, having the 2 years off,
lost a bit of momentum.
Yeah. Well, I've never been one that prepared or recovered or did anything. I just sort of got up week by week and kept going. So having those 2 pretty much suspended seasons just really made the body sort of stiffen up and seize up, and just sort of went out and tried to do the same stuff, and it just didn't work. So, now I'm a bit long on the tooth now, so it's about just sort of stay on the park. But, yeah, the nerves are there a bit, just to try and see if we can hold up. But I know I've done the preparation, all the work in the last month or so to get back up. And if we fail again, then we have a long hard look at ourselves,
right.
I think.
You're the coach, mate, so you're not going to drop yourself. Chris, thanks very much for jumping on pre-game, and good luck today, and hopefully for your sake you can get your first win.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Chris Anarkis there, Doncaster senior coach and club legend, Brasher, obviously, and league legend, of course. What is it, 2 Chandlers?
Yeah.
A Division 1 medal.
Put it this way, I think Chris's knowledge of the game is going to be paramount. I think it's a really great fit.
Because I think last year they won the games when he was playing, and he didn't necessarily dominate the midfield, but it's
No.
that poise and that knowledge you talk about. The clearance stats. I had a look at that, obviously, with the Access Premier data. Give myself, they had like I said, they actually won the clearances statistically. But he was saying Norwood were able to get out the front of the contest, move the ball, with more precision and access, whereas when Doncaster was more of a rushed clearance. So, but having Chris out there, just a bit of calmness around the ball. It might not be him actually getting it, but his presence.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what in the midfield. Sometimes it's not about crash and bang. Sometimes you need to show a bit of poise to win that clearance and control that stoppage, Ryan.
Yeah, you certainly need a couple more experienced heads in the middle, and obviously we look at Doncaster East midfield. They're quite experienced, quite talented. They've got a lot of class. So to have someone like Chris to come in and play middle, and he can also go up forward if they need to. I think it really helps them out.
But we'll talk about this game later.
Yep.
So we've got Ryan James on after the first break. We'll talk about this game later. Let's just flick around some other games of interest that I've chosen. So sorry, boys, I'll choose the games.
No worries.
Was Division 1. I think this one's of interest. Mooroolbark and Montrose. There's a lot of games in that division. Obviously, if you want to hear about Croydon and East Ringwood and all the games, you can listen to the weekend forecast on your podcast app, wherever you get them. But Mooroolbark and Montrose, I think, interesting. Brash, first time they've played since 2013, which was the grand final where Montrose got up. And it's a different thing now because Mooroolbark, we're pretty clear that we think they're going to be top two-ish, top 2, top 3. They're really hopeful of contending for a flag and possibly getting into Premier Division for the first time. And Montrose are a hard read because we're all really excited about them, but so far they've lost to East Ringwood by 2 goals and only just got over the line against Swanee South. So, but I think as a rivalry, it's great to see that. We've got a couple of rivalries this round. Obviously, we're at one. You've got Mooroolbark and Montrose. It'll be good for these two clubs to finally meet again, but also what's your read on the game? Because I think we're all getting excited for a close one, but I have a feeling Mooroolbark should win pretty comfortably.
Well, put it this way, I think if Montrose want a early sizer on exactly where they...
Well, they've had East Ringwood, and this will be another one.
Yeah, if they want to know exactly where they sit in the pecking order, they'll find out this afternoon. I think Mooroolbark, at the moment, all their point differentials are all in the positive.
Yep.
So, across the board, averaging roughly around 12 to 14 points a quarter, so that adds up to 8 goals over a match. I think the way Mooroolbark have started the season has been exciting.
Inaccurate in front of goal would be the only downfall, but that seems to be epidemic across the league.
But I think that they are ready to take the next step. Always hard to win at Heights Reserve. Not too many sides go there and win, Ryan. I think Mooroolbark will win. But Montrose, under the wily veteran coach in Gary Ayres, will make sure that they earn the points.
And Mullet hasn't really had to have that sort of influence. He kicked 2 last week. I think he only kicked the 1 in the first week. So, if they really need it, he can come out and kick 4 or 5. So obviously they've got plenty of goal kickers. And I think the difference between Montrose playing Mooroolbark and maybe an East Ringwood, I think Mooroolbark will really hurt them on the scoreboard if they're not great. East Ringwood, however, it
was raining that day too.
Yeah, the weather that day, and they don't mind just a low scoring. They don't have to belt size East Ringwood. They can just win by 2-3 goals, and they're fine. They'll do that constantly, and they won't be stressed about that. So this is a good
structure is interesting to me, Ryan, is that they got Jai Jordan back from, obviously everyone had a couple of years off, but back, he was coming through the ranks. He was a star. He kicked 3 goals in the opening rounds. He's been added to their forward line, and Mullet's playing a bit more forward time because Heath Hocking's come in. So, like you said, that was the downfalls, and when we watched him last year, it was sort of Mullet they needed 2 of him, and now they've got Hocking, and they can throw him forward, and they've also got Jai Jordan to provide some goals as well. So
he takes
they're
a good
exciting.
Player, Hocking.
Yeah, absolutely, and he gets plenty of it. And I think, what was it last year? A game for Alinda, he had 50 disposals or something like that. I know it's not the same standard, but still 50 touches are 50 touches.
Just makes them a lot less unpredictable. More unpredictable, which is always good.
I think, and that's usually the last piece of the puzzle with clubs, isn't it, Brash? They start off getting their defence right, they get some midfield depth, and then they add the firepower, the X factor. And at the moment, they've, like you said, they're not conceding many points, Mooroolbark. Their midfield depth, they've got a lot of young midfielders, Caden Mackey, Kane Noonan, Austin Smith, I think, is out for a couple of weeks, but he's another one, obviously, medal winner. You can throw Hocking in there, you can throw Mullet in there if need be. And now they're adding the forwards. You've got Hager, Jai Jordan now, and Mullet when he's resting down there and so on. They've now got all lines covered, and come a grand final day or a prelim final day when they need someone to step up, they've got more than just one option, which is another key.
Actually, a question was asked of me during the week, gentlemen, by a friend of mine. He said, Brash, if you're a coach and your side was going out and winning by 50 points every game and you're a superior side, and Ryan hit the nail on the head with East Ringwood, good side but only winning by 2 or 3 goals, what would you take? I would definitely be taking the close wins between the 14 and 18 points every week, because that means on that particular game, on that particular Saturday afternoon, you always had a contest.
And East Ringwood also, I think they got gears if need be.
Yeah.
So from all reports against, Montrose looked like a close battle, but in the run against Mitcham, from all reports, the game was pretty even to about 3/4 time, and then last quarter stepped it up a gear. Trent Farmer influenced the game, so he was pretty quiet and then kicked 3 goals in the last 2 quarters.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Quickly before the break, we'll talk about Fair Park and Waverley Blues. We've got about a minute to talk about this one. We can talk about it later as well, but I just think it'll be a good read on Fair Park because we think Waverley Blues are going to be pretty good. We know they'll score. It's a top of the table clash. Obviously, Waverley played the extra game, so Fair Park, it's under lights again at home, so that'll give them an advantage. What's a pass mark for Fair Park today, Brash? Because obviously at the moment they're undefeated top of the ladder, but I think we still think they're going to finish down the lower end, and they're playing a side we rate as a premiership chance. So
an acceptable losing margin.
Yeah, well, what's your pass mark? You may have a different opinion. You may think they should win.
No, I don't. I've had a look at Waverley Blues and collated all my figures for them. I think they've made a really good start to the season. I think Fair Park... jury's out for me. I think Ryan, in my opinion, I think if Fair Park would get in within 30 points, I'd be happy with that.
I'd be happy with that too.
I think they'd be happy with that as well. We're going to go to our first break here on the Eastland Match of the Round coverage on the SEN app and on Facebook and YouTube. It's Doncaster and Doncaster East in the Doncaster Derby.
Today at Eastland, Lucy's trying on jeans for a momentous occasion. Coffee with the ex. She needs jeans she can move in because she's definitely moved on. Jeans that get a second look, but don't give any second chances. Jeans that say, why yes, I have spent the last 8 months in a post-breakup juice cleansing, kickboxing, personal training frenzy. And it looks as though she's just found the perfect pair. Bravo, Lucy. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? Broke a finger, high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wantirna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet. Pee, poo and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
How would you like to be celebrated?
I think I'd like to be celebrated with lots of music, dancing, a bit of a party.
I'd like to be celebrated at the pub with a few frothies.
Maybe some colourful balloons, my favourite flowers. How about some glitter?
I'd like to be celebrated in space.
Outdoors, having all my family and friends together.
At Tobin Brothers Funerals, they know that every life is unique and they think that every celebration should be too. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
Sprained your ankle bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wantirna.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Welcome back to Shram's Reserve. It's the Doncaster Derby here on the Eastland EFL Match of the Round. Shram's Reserve, as we watch the Sharks and the Lions do battle in the Premier Division for a big Anzac round of footy. We've been joined by Chris Anarkis, and now we've got Ryan James, the Doncaster East senior coach, with us. Ryan, thanks for joining us, mate. It's what's it been like? You obviously, it's a tough, well, not tough, but it'd be a weird time, I guess, for a lot of people at the club because Steve Buckle was there for so long. How was the transition over the pre-season? Do you think it went pretty well?
Yeah, I'd like to think that it went well. It's a really good question. I think obviously the boys have had a lot of success under Steve, and he did a tremendous job, and he was there for 8 years. So I think there was a little bit of teething problems at the start. I wanted to just raise standards in different areas for different reasons, and there's a little bit of pushback naturally because we're trying to learn, and it's like I was trying to say to the boys over the pre-season, they were super successful in a lower division, but we take where the season finished last year and we're bottom of the ladder. So we needed to lift a lot of standards.
Was it hard for some of the players when they've been under a coach for so long where there's almost like a level of trust and the coach can know, okay, for example, player X, he's a bit average on the track, but I know I'll get enough out of him on the weekend. With you coming in, you found that initially some of the players found it a bit weird, maybe coming on a clean slate?
Yeah, and I still think there's a few players that are struggling a little bit with it. We're in a really good position today. In our reserves, we've got a couple of dual premiership players.
Yeah.
And we've got
14. Rami's running out there.
And people like Lukey McLeod and Papa, a couple of kids from Oakley Chargers. So it's part of finding depth. And the players were comfortable with Bucks, and that's natural because they both had success together. So it is challenging, and the reviews have been different because I'm bringing in a new game style. There's more learnings and positives at the moment, and the players probably aren't used to that at the moment.
They're used to the wins and losses rather than the process.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, Ryan, the one thing that I've noticed and following Doncaster East for such a long time, one thing I was really impressed with, though, was the fact that there was a very aggressive mindset when you took possession of the ball. Your team was quite prepared to take risks, but also when you won the ball on transition, you moved the ball equally as good as what any other side I've seen in the comp do. So I think the thing I saw was the fact that trying to maintain that over a consistent four-quarter period. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, 100%. We feel like, and you obviously saw Vermont, our ball movement at times was really good. And my philosophy is if your ball movement's better, you don't have to defend for as long. And our whole pre-season has been like that. We've been jumped a lot. And then we have lapses. And if we reviewed the Vermont game, it wasn't actually, we didn't break down defensively.
No.
It was offensively, we were in really good positions and didn't finish off work. And then I think 65% of scores come from turnover. So we need to get better at that. But we are trying to be exciting, and there's no point for me defending 9 goals and kicking 10. The boys need to enjoy footy. And I think you'll find today in good conditions, win, lose or draw, we'll move the ball really aggressively.
Well, also a player that will help that cause is the return of James Locke. A fantastic running midfielder who runs hard both ends of the ground, and also you've got a full forward in Tommy Gordon if you need to use him, but he also can use him around the ground in the ruck. So you do have you've got some versatility out there this afternoon.
Yeah, we've got a lot of moving parts at the moment. So Tom will play full-back today for us. He's done all summer down back for us. Jimmy Locke probably won't go through the midfield as much today. He's coming back from injury, but we're in a really good spot. Like today, we're bringing back Josh DeLuca, Jack Shalakis, Jimmy Locke, Chris Phelan's playing more forward. And in the past, for us to be successful, we've relied on those midfielders to play a lot of time. We're creating depth, and it makes it harder for the opposition, and that's the aim.
And you've got obviously a really talented midfield, a lot of experience there. No Zach Clark in the ruck today, and obviously you come up against Jake Spencer, who's obviously very talented. How do you who does go into the ruck, and how do you sort of play? Do you play to him, or how do you sort of control that?
It won't change too much. Like Jake is obviously a really good ruckman, and with Zach, we probably think they're the best two ruckmen in it. We'll have a young kid, Diloli, play today in the ruck, who's an elite basketball. He's got a bit of a jump on him, but it's nothing changes for us because even with our setups, with Zach being so dominant, only one person can go for the ball. So it's about the other boys just providing balance. And the challenge for our midfield at the moment is we've got a lot of really good players that are used to being the one. It's just, can you play your role and let the others have the lick of the ice cream?
And just for you personally, obviously you were at the Eastern Footy League and then you've gone off and gone on to higher levels and you've come back. What was it that's really brought you to Doncaster East? Obviously, you've got a fantastic junior program. They've come off a bit of success in the Division 1, now they're Premier Club. What was it that's really allured you to come here?
Initially, it was Damien Mercedes, who was at Box Hill, or he's an assistant coach at Box Hill. It's his home club, and I worked with him at Port Melbourne. And after having the chats to Pete and the committee, I initially probably wasn't going to do footy again this year and just focus on the family. But then the club is super ambitious off the field, and I said this at a luncheon the other day. We don't want for anything. Like, I've got every tool that I had at Port Melbourne. Anything that we want coaching-wise, facility-wise, we get. So there's no excuses from our end. And this club wants to be mentioned in the same conversations as Vermont's and Baldwin's, not for a year or two, but for long term.
In the past, Doncaster East have been a contested ball side with the strength of their players. The Appleby brothers were key to that, big, strong boys, and obviously when the bats aren't running around. Last week, that was an area you guys did really well. Were you pleased with your pressure and that side of the game? Because you matched Vermont with tackles, 6-2 tackles, which is obviously good as well. And then you were a bit down on uncontested ball, but you not belted them up, but I think on stats you beat them around the ball. Is that something that you're still wanting to build up?
Yeah, I think no successful team is no good at contested ball. So we've got that part of our game, but we need to convert our plus 40 in contested ball into more uncontested ball.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest teaching I've had for the boys is just control uncontested possession a little bit more, and ends up with being better score, and we'll be a high possession team.
Yeah. So is that a little bit less chaos to an extent?
It's probably more chaos getting out of the stoppage.
Yep.
Like, I think last year and looking at the division, we just had the luxury. We'd dump kick to Jake Summers and Sam Rowe. We need to isolate defenders more, and we've got too many good mids just to dump kick.
Yeah.
So we need to chain out of stoppage, and I'll cop a few holding the balls if we're trying to chain out because it's risk versus reward.
No, it's a very interesting discussion, Ryan, but we better let you get back to it because it's only half an hour or 45 minutes or so till the first bounce. So Good luck today, mate. Hopefully you can get your first win under your belt, and we'll talk to you during the year.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Ryan James there, the senior coach of the Doncaster East Football Club.
He hit on one thing there, Matt. He said he wanted to turn contested ball into more...
I was about to talk to you, Brasher. That was very interesting, the way he talked about the fact that they have for years just sort of dump kicked, and dump kick might be a harsh way of doing it, of saying it, but I get what he's saying because for years they had Tom Gordon, Summers, they've now added Sam Rowe, but for years they've always had those power forwards. They had Nathan Gordon and Justin Van Unen for a year. They've always had a power forward at Zerbies where if you're in trouble, kick it high and long, 6 times out of 10 they'll mark it and they'll kick a goal and we'll beat them. It's interesting. I get what he's saying. He's trying to say that we can do that and we'll win enough games, but if we want to actually get where the board wants us to get to, we have to be a bit more exact and like he's saying, take things a little bit more seriously.
I think the thing is, if you can't afford to be too heavily contested side because then that means you have too many guys around the contest.
And on a ground like this, you can get caught out because if you commit 5 numbers to 3 around the ball but you lose it, you're 2 down on the outside. And
that's right.
You'd rather be down on the inside than the outside.
So there has to be, Ryan, there's got to be an even spread because, like you said, you don't want to be a heavily contested side because that's going to inhibit your scoring capacity and your movement of the ball into your forward 50.
And they got all that, and they have plenty of options up forward too. Like obviously there's a lot of talent, but they've just got to sort of, as they said, link up and hopefully, be able to find those targets up forward and isolate defenders, which is clearly what they're after. But you don't want on the other end to come back the other way and haunt you on leaving room outside.
Normally, if you're a heavily contested side, that means that you probably don't have much depth or player brilliance in your side, right, to be able to exploit
And that's that thing. So, and I don't think that was ever the issue, but it was just that they had so much talent, they sort of got away with it. Like he's saying, I understand what he's saying. You can maybe compare it to GWS in the AFL. They have to be really strong contested because they don't back themselves on the outside. And if you look at like last week, so they were down 50 disposals on uncontested, which means Vermont controlled the. And if you are controlling uncontested ball, that's usually a sign that there's less pressure on you. You can make better decisions or execute better kicks.
Exactly.
So they've probably got. So they've allowed Vermont 50 extra kicks under less pressure. They only had 38 turnovers, which is a good sign, but, they were down a lot of the clearances too. So whilst they were winning contested ball, like Ryan's saying, they weren't very clean with it because Vermont was still able to win the clearances. So I think for them to only lose by a point last week, Brash, looking at all that, they've actually done really, really well, and they can take some big strides out of that. And it's an interesting point as well from Ryan that this is a side that for years has just won, and it's about winning. They haven't had to think about the processes. Now, and you hear elite athletes, he's going to them now. You can't go at the end of the day and go, we lost by 3 goals. That was a horrible day. You've got to look at other things. You've got to look at, did we win the contested ball? What were inside 50 like? Were they good entries? Were they bad entries? Try and take out the score and ignore it. And if you can focus on the other stuff, it'll take care of itself.
Exactly. I just think it comes. He's just building on what Steve Buckle built.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's actually now challenging the players to go the next step because it is a quantum leap going up from Div 1 into Premier, and so if you've got a highly motivated playing group, then you have to challenge them. Otherwise, they're not going to succeed.
And it's a long process, isn't it? It doesn't take 1-2 years.
Fortunately for them, though, they have. I know COVID, and they would have backed themselves over the course of the year to finish off the bottom. But the beauty of last year for them was that they got a taste of it. They know where they fell down. They know where they had to improve. But they also didn't get relegated.
No.
Much like Fair Park. You could look at Fair Park in Division 3 the same way. They saw where they were deficient, and they've gone out and they've addressed it without having to start again in the lower division. So it's a real big chance for them this season to try and build it. A lot of us have got them finishing in the finals, and off last week's performance, if he's saying he wasn't that happy with it and only lost by a point, then that's a pretty good sign. But it'll be very interesting to see today as well, because if you said, Ryan, that they weren't happy with their uncontested play and getting the ball on the outside, well then Trams reserves a big ground, Brash and Ryan. You'd want to get pretty good at the uncontested today.
Yeah. Well, it is, and the thing too, a ground like this would probably suit Sam Rowe because he likes to lead up the ground. I thought Rowe was. He played all right, but I thought young Tyson from Vermont did a really good job on him last week and really nullified his influence because Sam Rowe is that sort of player that in some ways can turn a game.
Well, as Ryan said before, what did Doncaster East won by 10 goals last year, and he kicked 8.
Yeah. So, I mean, good forwards when they get on a roll, Ryan.
Last week, was he sort of the key when they did go inside 50? Is that who they were looking for?
Start.
And is that sort of thing, do you think they need to start looking at other options? Because they have other options up there. Do they start to look elsewhere rather than be so row-centric?
They have to. They have to if they're going to stretch other sides. You've got to develop other goal kickers. Your half forwards and your forward pockets have to start kicking goals, and it's a bigger bonus that when your midfielders are streaming through and kicking goals. That's the cream on the crate. Your midfielders kicking goals when your forwards are kicking goals.
So obviously DeLuca comes in today, Jimmy Locke, and he mentioned that Chris Phelan's going to play time forward. Now
he played in the midfield last week.
Yeah, well, which is obviously, like you said, they're trying to add more avenues to go on their forward line. But that's an interesting move to me because even last year he had a couple of games, I think particularly against Berwick, where he had like high 30s. He's a prolific ball winner. I'm a bit surprised that they're going to push him down forward, but I haven't personally seen him play live. You might have, Brash.
I have.
But do you think he could hit the scoreboard as that sort of high half forward, that creates a bit of havoc?
Well, he certainly has he's certainly got a good leg on him. And the fact is that he's got some real silky skills. I'm not sure whether he's tall enough to hold down the centre half forward position.
No, I don't think he'll be playing that role. You would assume that it's
I would be saying half forward.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to play. Like I said, we don't know. There's a few names that we don't recognise on this team sheet, but I have him in head as a high half forward, that might create some havoc. And he's obviously a smart player. I think he's played a bit of waffle footy, so he's obviously played a higher standard. So,
well, the other thing too is that will help Rowe, knowing that if he's going to lead to position, he knows that the ball's going to be delivered to him in a manner that awful forwards like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ryan, what names? Doncaster, it's always good to look at their team sheet because there's always a couple of new names that pop up. Josh DeLuca is probably one we're excited about seeing. But what are the other players that have jumped off at the team sheet at you in the lead up to this game?
I'm very excited to see Simon White play again off the half-back. I'm assuming that's where he'll be playing again.
Yeah, centre half-back.
The 24 touches last week. He's very good with the rebound 50s. I think last week he also had, he went at 70% disposal efficiency, 6 intercept marks, and they like to sort of
And he was playing on Andrew Ainger. So
yeah, well.
Speaking of Brasher, we'll go a bit off topic there. Who won that battle? Because Ryan's just said White had 24, 6 intercept marks, went at 75%, probably kickstarted a few attacks, but his direct-ish opponent kicked 8 goals.
Well, the thing is, Ainger kicked those 8 goals.
From 10 touches.
Well, yeah, he had 12 possessions, 8 goals won, but it wasn't like they were spread over they were in bursts.
Okay.
So, I think he kicked 4 in a burst in the first quarter and then 2 or 3 and then...
So did White start on him or did he go to him after that initial burst from memory?
I think he went to him because normally Simon plays halfback flank as the general and to direct the traffic. But I think they were a bit worried early on because Vermont had jumped out to a 26-point lead. They had to try and stem the bleeding early to try and get themselves back in the contest. And I knew they would get back in the contest because this always happens in round 1, where a side will jump out because of enthusiasm, and the other side will inevitably...
Well, we're still waking up.
Yeah, but they'll inevitably work their way back into the contest as the game progresses a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on the Chris Phelan role, he has played forward a couple of times. They've tried to isolate him. I don't know if they'll isolate him today, but...
I don't think Doncaster will allow
but he's
that luxury.
Three flags at Subiaco, so he does, as I said,
but the way...
talent.
I would think,
Doncaster won't allow it, no.
No, I would think... I'm sure that Chris has sat down and isolated the playmakers from Doncaster. He said they need to put time in, and they'll probably put their best players on it.
Absolutely. Brash, we've got to go to a break here on the Eastland Match of the Day. Before we go, a little shout out for our podcast. Of course, EFNL Podcast Presents. You've got the weekend forecast out on a Friday previewing all the men's action. You've got the Monday recovery, which will be out Tuesday this week, and you've also got the female footy focus, which is coming Wednesdays with an eye on all the female games going across the Eastern Football Netball League. We're going to a break. On the other side of this, we'll preview more of Doncaster and Doncaster East.
As Sarah opened her best friend Jackie's wedding invitation, she was overcome with a wave of emotion. While her 2 young boys wrestled on the floor, tears of happiness rolled down Sarah's cheeks as she saw the words she'd been longing to see. Please note, this wedding will be a child-free event. Well, Sarah, looks like we're off to Eastland for a new frock and some heels. Let's book in that babysitter. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? Broke a finger, high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet: pee, poo and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
Sprained your ankle bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
What makes me would have to be feel like I've got some unique, funny characteristics.
There's things that you don't even realise are part of your personality. It's your attitude.
My ability to care for other people.
My love for others.
Celebrate your life the way you want, like I did with a fixed price funeral plan from Tobin Brothers Funerals. The price doesn't change and your life will be celebrated your way. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Welcome back to Shram's Reserve. It's the Doncaster Derby today on Eastland EFL Match of the Round with the Sharks hosting the Doncaster East Lions. We've spoken to both coaches and they gave us some very interesting insight into this one. So it's Matthew Fodia here with Wayne Brasher and Ryan Long. We'll be bringing you this action. Ben Warren Smith will be in the hot seat with Gav Casey. Steve White and Brett Beston will be down on the boundary. And we'll have all the around the ground scores. If you want to go back and catch up on the women's action, the first live stream of the year was Whitehorse Pioneers taking on Donvale. I think Donvale got up in a high-scoring one. You can go back and watch that on YouTube with some commentary from Jared Beadland and Josh Ward. So well done to those guys, and we'll try to keep you updated all across the day. Let's go a bit deeper into this one, gents. I think rivalries always make games a little bit closer, so we can, I think we can take that. I think on paper you'll probably say Doncaster East are the better side by probably 5-6 goals. But I think being at Doncaster brings it in a couple of goals. The rivalry brings it in a couple of goals. And also just a couple of stats that show that Doncaster might be able to exploit Doncaster East. Obviously, Zach Clark's not playing and Jake Spencer was probably the best ruckman in the comp last year. Doncaster actually beat Nord in terms of number of clearances. Chris Anarkis did mention that they want to be a bit cleaner with those. And the other area they want to improve on was the fact, and they had, 68 tackles, which is more than Doncaster East had. So if they can try to get better clearances and keep up that tackle pressure, they'll be happy. But the problem for them last week was they had 61 turnovers. And I think you can tell in the way Nord, a lot of the goals on Nord's highlights were pretty simple. And I think that might be why, Brash.
It is. It is, Matt. I think, 36 shots at goal or 36 scoring opportunities, that certainly does paint a bit of a story there, Ryan. I think the thing is with turnovers, a lot of it comes down to the pressure that the side wants to put on the opposition and vice versa. How badly do you want that turnover to create the scoring opportunity in the opposition 50? I think that says a lot. We want sides want to put pressure in their forward 50 now, don't they?
Yep. But it's also I think their attack that you look at last week, and I think Jamar up forward this week could be the key factor because they need another target up forward. You look at last week, Van der Haar and Vickers kicked 6 of their 8, and Van der Haar's had a pretty good season last year. I think he finished with 15, and he was a focal point up forward. He looks
to me as more of a high half-forward wing, but he had to play key forward, as you say.
They don't really have much other. So I think Jamar, especially when you got no Zach Clark today, this is probably the best time
with Anarkis and Marn in too. So they've added to their midfield depth. The best ruckman's going up against talented basketballer, but a young kid. Jake Spencer's 100 kilos. He might around the ground. I think centre clearances might be Ollie's best chance with a run and a jump.
Yep.
Around the ground, you'd expect Spencer to dominate. So Doncaster have to make the most of it, be clean, as Chris said, and then hopefully Jamar can straighten them up. Even if he doesn't clunk them, Brash, if he can bring it to ground, the guys like Vickers and stuff should be able to hit the scoreboard and put a good total on the board.
I agree. I know Ryan said that he's going to have Tommy
Gordon
starting at fullback. I think that's going to be a bit of an issue if they're not getting anything out of the
Jamar.
Yeah, if Jamar.
Well, that's the thing. Jamar's 39, so.
If Spencer though,
how mobile is Jamar? Because Gordon is a good ball user, and as we know, has an eye for goal. He'll want to creep up.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to expose Jamar, you want to run off him, right, and try and take the petrol out of the tank.
Exactly.
Whereas the other hand, he might be in Ryan might be in a bit of a dilemma if Spencer takes control in the ruck and they can't get a clearance.
Yeah, do you throw Gordon?
You might have to throw Gordon, which means it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Or you just start reading Spencer. But the thing, I think Spencer's actually got high clearance numbers. I don't know if
he had
you've got
11 last week.
11 last week, and last year he had a few games where he was like that. So he actually sort of does that Tom Hawkins where he goes, you know what? If I tap it, the other team are half a chance. If I grab it, at least we've got it. So interesting to see how they play that one. Doncaster East, I know we don't like to speak about it too much because Ryan addressed it off here and I didn't want to bring it up again, but 47 inside 50. So they had 10 more than Vermont last week for the same amount of scoring shots and obviously went down by a point, and they had 11 more marks. So, again, on paper, there were signs that they were getting it in there. But as he said as well, Brash, they're trying to move away from dump kicks to packs and trying to get better inside 50 entries, which means deeper, close to goal, but also one-on-ones where they back their forward in.
I think a lot of the time what they were trying to do was in their forward 50, when you're on the flanks and you're trying to find a player in a more central position, I can understand why they had more inside 50s, because the one thing that Vermont did was they pushed them wide, and then when they got their forward 50 entries, they were always on wing half forward and in not good scoring positions, so they were always crisscrossing and looking for switches. So I think that's part of the reason why they had more inside 50s than what Vermont had.
Ryan James Long, said that he wants them to be a bit more, not careful, but exact with their uncontested plays. So don't just go quickly. Sometimes you can look for the better option. It's a very wide ground, as we've mentioned a couple of times here, Shrams. Do you expect to see a lot of chip mark? He said they're going to be a side that wants to kick the ball a lot and hold the ball a lot.
Yeah, I think they will, and I think it's sort of the day that you can get a Sam Rowe one out because it is so wide, and you look at the wings, if they use the wings, if they want to spread the ball and be able to target those players, and obviously, as you said, as Brasher just mentioned, that they were pushed out to the sort of the pockets when you're taking set shots. Obviously, your chances are much harder when you're on more of an angle. So if you can sort of get row one out
because inside 50s can be misleading, and the good thing, and unfortunately the public don't have access to this, I might give you guys a bit of access, is that Premier Data will provide you with not only the inside 50s but where they are. So they're shallow and deep. And then I guess another factor that they haven't got in there would be also where you're having the shots from, because I could have 45 inside 50s, but if I'm taking all my shots from 40 metres out on a 35-degree angle on the wrong side, the angle of the dangle, Rash, it's hard to kick goals, isn't it?
It is.
So they can be misleading because, Vermont might have had 10 less, but they might have had them all 20 metres out directly in front.
I guess that's part of the reason why when I had my own measurement, 1.5 times total score, it was to cover the fact that they're crisscrossing in the extra inside 50s. And
you don't score from everyone as well.
No. I think the other thing too is Shram's Reserve is one of these grounds where, like Ryan was saying, he wants his players not to take the first option, but look at what the opportunities are. Shrams is that type of ground where you've got to play with patience. It's one of those grounds that you just can't go like a bull at a China gate and just attack the ground per se. You've got to work. There's nuances in this ground, and that's why this is a hard road trip, regardless of where Doncaster are on the ladder.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you look at that, do they match him in the midfield? Like with Spencer,
that's the question.
He's basically a midfielder.
How did Doncaster win the game? Doncaster has already told us they want to isolate their good forwards. They're going to push Phelan forward to give them a bit more firepower. That isn't just a tall forward. They want to hold the ball. We think that it's going to be around the coalface for Doncaster, but how else are they winning the game? Who has to step up? We've mentioned Vickers, but the ball's got to get down there to him. Who are the key players for you, Ryan, that have to step up for a Doncaster win?
You probably look at Hoverden in the not Hoverden, Hendon in the middle. I think he had 30 touches last week. He was pretty influential. Rambeldi, he came to the club. Is he a recruit this year?
Rambeldi? No, he's been around for a few years.
Who was I thinking of? You're
thinking of Ramboldi.
Yeah. So I think you look at some of them. Someone that's got to match up against Jackson Green.
Green was best on ground. We haven't mentioned him once.
He had, I think, 6 inside 50s, had 23 touches. I think also he was, him and Simon White were the two highest disposal getters, 23, 24. So they weren't a very high disposal getting side.
But a smaller ground. I think on those grounds you're going to see totals that are a bit lower. You're not going to see your 35s at Zerbies. You might see a 35 or a 40 today because there's so much more room and it's going to take more than 3 kicks to go goal to goal.
I think the two captains will line up on each other, James Appleby and Chris Anakis in the midfield.
Is Anakis captain? No, Massini's captain.
Is he?
So the captain will go to the coach.
Yeah.
In an interesting one. I'm really interested to see Jake Whitling. I love watching him play, and this is the sort of ground he'll love with the space on the wing, gut running, a bit like Jack Blythe and James Parker for Ringwood that we always mention when we watch them. He's the hard running.
He's the most dangerous back pocket, Jake Whitling, because that's where
he's always named. I don't think he ever plays there.
I've seen him play there, but the thing is, he sometimes he does play, but him and Jack Martin interchange that back pocket. And at times they're probably the most dangerous back pockets in the comp.
He might be dangerous on a ground like this where he's got that so much space on the wing.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, we've got a few minutes left. Make your cases for your respective tips. I'm going to go out of the box. I think in the end of the year, Doncaster East will finish high, but I think today Doncaster are going to win. I think Zach Clark being out gives Jake Spencer a big advantage. Anarchis back in, Marn back in, Derby at home. I think the Sharks will get there just.
I like the Vermont form. And I like the fact that Doncaster East have got a bit more run back into their side this afternoon, and they've got classy players across each of the lines. I think that'll be enough to get them over the line. But I'm like you, this is not going to be a stroll in the park.
No, I think the stars are almost aligned for a Doncaster win if they're ever going to against Doncaster East. But I just with the talent they've got, and they've brought a couple more in, I'm going to stick with Doncaster East by probably 2 goals.
Well, gentlemen, another very, very fine pre-game done and dusted. Of course, the coverage doesn't stop here. We've thanked, obviously, the listeners on the SEN app and then people on Facebook and YouTube for joining us so far. After the break, which is going to be a couple minutes away, you'll be able to continue watching on Facebook and YouTube. There is a Anzac ceremony of the highest order. We've gone all out here at Doncaster. We've got the Doncaster RSL down with the bugle. Lee Green, of course, of LKL Media will be down there trying to give us the best coverage of that one. You can continue, as I said, watching on Facebook and YouTube. Continue listening on the SEN app, or if you are a local and you're in your range, you can get on Eastern FM 98.1 to jump on there. And, of course, if you want to watch some of the women's footy that was on earlier today, Brash, you can go on our YouTube channel and watch back the replay of Whitehorse and Donvale, which was called by Josh Ward and Jared Beanland. I think Donvale got a pretty handy win, but some exciting footy, goals galore down there. Donvale had a lot of shots and could have made it a bit worse in the end. So if you want to watch some of the best women's footy, go there. If you want to get around the ground scores, head to the Eastern Football Netball League website under Football, click Match Centre and senior fixtures and results. You'll find them there. Or, of course, you can listen in because we'll be throwing them out there all day. The call team today when we return will be Gav Casey and Ben Warren-Smith. Ben, of course, you've got a finger in both pies here, doesn't he, Brash? Doncaster Junior and Doncaster East man. And then you've got yourself and Ryan along with Brett Beston and Steve White on the boundary line. Gentlemen, thanks once again. We thank Chris Anarchis and Ryan James as well for joining us on the pre-game coverage. Until after the break, thanks for listening and enjoy the football.
Today at Eastland, Lucy's trying on jeans for a momentous occasion. Coffee with the ex. She needs jeans she can move in because she's definitely moved on. Jeans that get a second look, but don't give any second chances. Jeans that say, why yes, I have spent the last 8 months in a post-breakup juice cleansing, kickboxing, personal training frenzy. And it looks as though she's just found the perfect pair. Bravo, Lucy. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? Broke a finger, high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet: pee, poo and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
How would you like to be celebrated?
I think I'd like to be celebrated with lots of music, dancing, a bit of a party.
I'd like to be celebrated at the pub with a few frothies.
Maybe some colourful balloons, my favourite flowers. How about some glitter?
I'd like to be celebrated in space.
Outdoors, having all my family and friends together.
At Tobin Brothers Funerals, they know that every life is unique and they think that every celebration should be too. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
Sprained your ankle bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Bigger and better, Netball EFL is back. The fastest growing competition in the eastern suburbs continues to expand. Don't miss the fast-paced action every Friday night across multiple venues. For more information or to get involved, head to efl.org.au. Never miss out on the latest information on the Eastern Football League through the league's social media channels. Live updates, information and scores through the league's Twitter account.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Welcome to Doncaster Reserve for EFNL Premiership Football. You're listening on the SEN app, Radio Eastern 98.1, and getting the feed through Facebook and other methods. If I've missed any, I'm just getting back into it. So welcome from Gavin Casey. We've got Wayne Brasher here with special comments, and we're just looking ahead for the round 2 game between the local rivals. We've only had one bite of it in recent times, last year in an interrupted season, but this is a well-looked-forward fixture in Doncaster area. It's Doncaster versus Doncaster East, and it's going to be a fantastic clash because Doncaster East coming off a good match where they might have felt a bit stiff last week not to beat Vermont, and Doncaster, hoping to strengthen up after a disappointing round 1 clash against Norwood. How do we see the game ahead? Brash and Ryan?
Well, look, Ryan and I spent the last hour with Matt just going through all the pros and cons of how this game could possibly play out. And we all feel that the game could be a lot closer than what the actual team lists actually say they are, Gav, because there's pluses and minuses for both sides this afternoon. And the fact that both coaches are, in essence, Ryan, they are trying some different parts to their own gameplay, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's obviously going to be a bit of a different look to when we were here last year or at Doncaster East when we watched them play. It's going to be a bit of a sort of a different style of game. Obviously, Doncaster East, as Ryan said, he wants the ball movement, especially a bit different to how it's been, and obviously the way they look inside 50, hitting up targets. And as you've mentioned, that was probably maybe a bit of an issue last week against Vermont in the loss there. So that'll be important.
What do you think of the factor of this is a de facto round 1 when you've had 2 weeks off because Good Friday only had standalone game at Blackburn for Premier Division. So they've had 2 weeks off and they're still coming to grips with
it's almost
football
it's
back in town.
It's like a tantaliser, isn't it? You've just had a little bite at the cherry and you think, oh, gee, I like this. And then I've got to have a holiday. And now we're back again. But as I said to Ryan, now this is where the business side of Premier Division now starts to get serious. Right, solid football week in, week out. Injuries now will start play its role, and it already has early in the season, Ryan. And it's going to get to a stage where there are going to be sides, and they could get ragdoll a little bit this year, Gav. Sides that we least expect.
Well, it's not for us to know the ins and outs until the last minute. I know we've got factors that we dare not mention constantly, but we're still in the midst of, people going out for their illnesses, but having players who haven't been tested for a long time means that, the muscle injuries in the legs are probably going to be more prominent, you imagine, especially early on in the year. So it's going to be an interesting see who's fit and who's ready on game day.
With the whole, obviously protocols and obviously people are going to miss sickness more than usual and have to isolate. Does that speak to more the importance of right now when you do have your players out in the park of winning these sort of games because obviously every game's going to count in the end in a tight division, to finish in that top six, especially for Doncaster East if they want to play finals this year. A game like this against Doncaster, the pressure's on because this is the sort of game that they really need to win because they lost a lot of games early where you would have, they probably should have won in the end.
Well, they will be coming here this afternoon, Doncaster East, Gav, with the expectation that they're going to win this game. And because they'll probably be basing it on the fact that they won 1-1 last year, so they know they can beat them. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing is now, just alluding to what Ryan was saying, is now bank as many wins as you can from April and through to May, because when the winter part of winter hits, which is around June, right, and if other external issues come into play, right, which may decimate a squad it's not going to take 1 week. They might lose 2 games or 3 games because it's just not like that they're going to instantly recover and feel 100% the next week.
Well, and another factor is with these coaches, Chris Anakis, relatively new as a coach, always been a champion player and captain at Doncaster, Ryan James, systems and the way you play, if you need to defend and have team defence to hold yourself in the game, then you need to have a well-drilled lineup so that anyone that comes in is not a loose cannon, literally, and any mythology or zoning you want to do, that they're in place so that you can hold on to a game and maybe have a quarter and hold yourself into a game and then go for a surge and win that game based on playing proper systems, no matter who you have, because it's not going to be about personnel. It could be about systems and game methodology and containment. So if you don't, there's ways of winning when you don't have certain players you'd like to have out there. And Doncaster, I think the problem for Doncaster this year, hopefully it's changed, but in recent times, 3 years ago, they were struggling to field the reserves. So now they've progressed and got numbers back in the club. It's fantastic. But has the club got the depth when they need it? So that's going to be huge in the competition as well.
Yeah, I think that might be where they struggle at. Obviously, it's good to have a reserve side now that they do, but I don't know if they won a game last year in the reserves. They may have won one, but they definitely were finished on the bottom. And last week against Norwood, their reserves really struggled. I think they only kicked the 1 goal for the game, and obviously today as well, they were quite handily beaten by Doncaster East.
Without having a major forward in your side, you're relying on your pockets, your half forwards, and your midfield to kick winning scores. That's not a real recipe for, producing consistent wins on a basis.
Well, that's what I think I mentioned it early in the pre-game, but when you've got Van Haar and Vickers kicking 6 of the 8, and I don't think either of them are fairly tall, I don't think.
No, they're winger types, midfield.
Yeah, so if you're relying on that, that's obviously why there's going to be a big focus on Jamar today to see if he is capable of being that target, because they sort of do need a big man up forward.
Well, I do remember there was forwards that took them to town last week. Vermont had Danger kicking 8 and 7 for Bennell, who's not a leader. He might be a hit-up pass, but he's not a tall man. So Doncaster got burnt by a forward last year. It was Sam Rowe kicking all those goals literally on one leg. Yeah. So Doncaster have got to be tighter in defence because they can transition as well as Donny East. But who's the forward that's going to step up and which today?
And that's exactly the Doncaster of old. They had that spearhead forward, Gav. They had the Nathan Thompson. Mm-hmm. They had they've had quality.
They've had talls as well. You can't reach their arms once they're up.
No, and the thing is, Doncaster, when they were at their best, it was the ruckman winning the tap, Chris Anakis on the end of the clearance and banging the ball down long, with pinpoint accuracy, to the leading forward. That was when Doncaster with their Preston, and they had all those support players around them. This time they don't have that. And the thing is, look at with all the other clubs, if you don't have a key forward, at some stage it's going to hurt you throughout the year.
Yeah, well, my feature looking through Doncaster is the toughness, the big bodies that they have running through midfield. Marn, around Anarchis, they've got heavy bodies like Marn and Malloy. But
They've got a very seasoned side in today, Gav.
Yeah, I think so. So they will get the ball.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
And with Anarchis in the middle, how much, obviously you boys have probably seen him play a lot more than I have over the years. What does he add? Obviously, he's quite a talented player. He's been at Doncaster for a long time.
Clean ball skills.
Yep.
Able to pinpoint and hit targets without on call. Jack?
Yeah, just if I could just distract, we've got fantastic sites here on the. If you're streaming it through the Facebook, at least you'll be seeing this. The fact that both clubs have their two sides and even Oz kickers in their uniforms doing a guard of honour in preparation for the Anzac Day tributes. And I wonder, Brucey, if you want us to be quiet through the... But, yeah, so when it comes to it, we'll be paying our due respect as well. So it's a great moment in any match in lead up to Anzac Day, lest we forget, of course.
Sometimes, Ryan, right, when you've watched enough football, right, sometimes one class player can actually be the difference between a side winning and a side losing. And Chris Anarchis, being a two-time Chandler medalist, he is class. And it was interesting that he said that that the 2 years off, basically, he didn't benefit from that because the fact as the body got older, he said that trying to get the muscle started again, Gav, for him, he said, was a bit of a chore. I actually thought for some of the players it might have been a blessing in disguise because it might have added some longevity to their football career.
And there's fantastic scenes as the Doncaster RSL doing a march with the flags in the goal square closest to the pavilion. And you'll be seeing these scenes, streaming it now. So it's fantastic. Most clubs around Victoria and Australia, of course, in any sport, will be having ceremonies that pay their respects to the returned soldiers. And we know Anzac Day, what a significant day for Australia.
Well, it just keeps growing every year too, Gav.
And football's a great part of drawing the community together for paying tribute. So we can hear the music in the background. If we will be silent when time is most appropriate, but I think for the coverage of our broadcast, we'll keep talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Doncaster
cross down now.
Club. Today we remember the men and women who have served our country so well. The club would like to thank Doncaster RSL and Blackburn Nissan Care for their support today. I'd also like to thank the following people for making their attendance. Rod Burgess, former Doncaster Football Club past president. Philip Webb, the RSL president. Ken Turnham, a former Vietnam veteran. As well as Dennis Clark, Doncaster RSL vice president and former Vietnam vet, who will recite the ode. John Roach, our bugler and singer, and Doncaster Secondary College school captain, Alina Jayamana. I'd like to hand over now to Dennis.
Anzac Spirit Speech. The word Anzac has been a part of Australian thought, language and life since the 25th of April, 1915. Devised by a signaller in Egypt as a useful acronym for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, it quickly became a word with many uses and meanings. Since then, there is a general consensus of what is regarded as the Anzac spirit. Anzac came to stand for the positive qualities which Australians have seen their forces show in war. These qualities are generally accepted to include endurance, courage, ingenuity, good humour, and above all, mateship. More recently, Arthur Burke, OAM, pointed out that the spirit of Anzac is not confined to the battlefield, nor is it something that can be seen. He described the spirit of Anzac as a powerful driving sensation that can only be felt. It is a feeling that burns in the heart of every Australian and New Zealand countryman. A warm, tender, fiery, even melancholy ideal that nurtures intense patriotism in the innermost soul of everybody. The Return and Services League of Australia suggests that the spirit of Anzac is seen today in times of crisis or hardship, during cyclones, floods and bushfires. Australians come together to rescue one another, to ease the suffering, to provide food and shelter, to look after one another, and to let the victims of these disasters know that they are not alone. And now I would like to recite the ode to you. It's a slightly extended ode. It's one that we've become used to lately. Started 100 years ago by a man by the name of Benyon. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. Now the ode. They shall grow not old, as we with the left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. In memory of fallen comrades and those since departed. Lest we forget.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
What a rousing edition of the national anthem by that young lady, and the bugle playing with the silence in between. What a tribute and great remembrance that we have, lest we forget, as we are having an Anzac Day clash around the Eastern Football Netball League, and it's round 2, Doncaster versus East Doncaster. They're just bringing the ceremony on ground to an end, and we will soon be going ahead for the round 2 clash. But it's fantastic to see here live the flags being walked off by the RSL gentlemen. And that was a fantastic edition of the national anthem. And there's the applause for the gentleman. And I hope it came through the effects mic and on screen that just everyone, the silence and the respect that everyone knows to pay and wants to pay. It's a fantastic, it's not just about sport, it's about Australian culture, and it is a very significant day, and it will forever will be. No matter peaceful times or not, we will always remember those who served our nation with pride.
We certainly wouldn't be sitting here, Gav, calling local football if it wasn't for them, would we?
Yeah, with it's fantastic. We're at the footy as well.
And the sport do a great job with really honouring and in all levels, from the elite levels of sport to junior footy. We do support and do a great job.
Well, there's so many. If we talk about paying tribute, respect, but also there's so many things that football clubs do for the community, and they can promote into the community, where you see it touches people's lives, football clubs at local level. And so it's important that football clubs step up to do things like have a great Anzac Day ceremony. And if there's, causes that need to be promoted with men's health, be it for one cause or for another, it's important that footy clubs are all over it and send a message to their supporters, because that's where this is what grassroots football's about. It's not just about kicking a footy on a Saturday. That's fantastic, and that's what we're here for. But also,
the community.
It's for the community.
Absolutely right.
James Appleby won the toss and they're kicking down to the far end, Gav.
Yeah, well, it is the far end for us as well today. Where, as you can see with the camera, we're from the pavilion, which is facing straight down to the opposite end here at JJ Tully. And Doncaster, so hopefully this is the scoring end, because I'll get rather excited if it is. But if I'm reaching and searching for moments across the field, we've got beautiful camera work going on. So we have never been let down in that regard.
No, we are very, very spoilt in with the vision and the audio that is provided to us each and every EFNL game day. Lee and Bruce do a fantastic job.
They do.
And once again, they've given us a great setup here for the big Anzac Day clash.
Well, I know tips are going to become soon irrelevant, because the game will supersede any prediction we might make. But we've gone through it already.
Yeah.
There's too many unknowns for me to feel like an expert. But I did hear that there was 2 tips going around, which is, I would have thought Donny East were favourites.
They're definitely coming in as favourites.
But is there a feeling that Doncaster are ready to go today?
Well, Matt's pretty. He was very keen on Doncaster as well today. He liked the fact that they got a very nice balanced side, and it could challenge. And at times, he feels that they may be able to challenge.
But we go Ryan in a sec. But the ruckman, having two former AFL ruckmans in Spencer and Jamar. And they're going to be tall in the forward line when they spend time there, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I think that's where they can win it with that ruck difference. But as you said, though, if there's a chance to beat Doncaster East right now, it's today with the list that they've got. And obviously, they don't have quite the depth Doncaster as a Doncaster East may have. But right now, they're pretty injury free. They haven't got too many injuries, so they've got a pretty strong list out in the park. So while they do have a list out like that, this is when they can really bank up some wins and sort of keep them away from anywhere near that relegation level.
Yeah, it's an interesting game today. I'm looking forward to Chris Phelan as a player for Donny East.
Yeah, he'll be playing a more forward role today, we've been told. Yes.
Okay, so and what about Sam Rowe? Is full forward again to haunt again the Donny forward line?
Yeah, he probably had a quiet first round one. A young man by the name of Zach Tyson from Vermont played him very well. I mean, I think Sam got his 2 or 3 goals, but he didn't get many touches.
Okay. Well, what about for Donny as we go through? There's some names that are always around. Experienced Maganas, Vanderhart,
Malloy.
Malloy.
Coleman.
Yep, Marn.
Benny Marganis.
Yep.
He'll either play full back or centre half back. Depending, you'll probably take the best forward, Ryan. So, look, there's going to be some... I said earlier, Ryan, that Jimmy Appleby might line up on Chris Anarkis in the midfield.
I think Appleby's the key from their midfield for Doncaster East, but I'd also look at for Campbell Tweedy for Doncaster down back. Jimmy plays out. He had 38 touches last week, but also had 5 clearances, 6 on inside 50s, 8 rebound 50s as well. So clearly he gets up the ground as well. And he's quite an influential figure for the Sharks.
It's interesting, Donny's centre combination with Spencer doing first ruck, Giacobbe and Hendon and Marn to be the Bulls. That's a quite solid lineup there. Versus Donny East's runners. You've got Appleby there. He doesn't have Chris Anarkis stand next to at the moment. So that's a one to look out for as well. As they centre themselves for the game ahead, round 2, Premier Division of the EFNL.
Well, Chris Anarkis looks like he's lining up in the forward line here, Gav.
Yes, so
maybe forward pocket
next to Jamar. Well, they could get on fire, those two, because they've got the skills. They know football, like in terms of leading up, hit up targets, big marks. Anarkis can get under the feet. Not a bad combination to look forward to. That is the siren to start the game here at Doncaster versus Donny East. Ollie went up the ruck, run the tap forward for Donny East as they do get it out of they got it forward of the centre circle. Tackle flew in from the Sharks to just keep it as a disputed ball at half forward for the Lions. And it's going to be a free kick or ball up as the kick was going to be pushed into the forward line for Donny East. The tackle flew in on Appleby. Rucks go at it. Spencer was good to get it down to ground level with Donny sharing it wide. To the wing they go. Kick goes down the line. Underneath it, push out. No free kick. Yeah, the umpire saw that. There was a nudge in the back from the defender there in Haswell. And he's conceded the free kick at half forward. So Doncaster looking for options. Anarkis is floating around. It goes to the goal square where it's all Doncaster East tools, and the tackle flies in and kept in the area nicely by Coleman. So another tall in the forward line there for Doncaster. So they're loading up in their forward line.
I think a heavily contested game here, Gav, is going to suit Doncaster more than Doncaster East.
Gordon did the ruck work as he's a defender, and it spilled out to Paparonis, who now kicks it long to the wing out of defence, clearing kick, but it's now in Sharks' control. Not yet. They lose it in the contest, and the tackles are flying in. This is fantastic start, and this is what you want local rivals to do, is to go at each other.
Just an early around the grounds, Surrey Park, 8-6-54 lead Forest Hill, 5-5-35. So that game started a bit earlier today.
So out of that contest from the clearing kick, it went out of bounds. So it's a ball in. Again, Spencer gets front position. Nicely worked. 1-2 combination as Donny tried to run it in. The hand pass was caught by the same player, but his kick was chopped off, and it's marked by Simon White. He's the optimum sweeper. He floats around and he just takes possessions. And now he goes to the outer side kick, finds Haswell taking a chest mark, but now it slows up for Donny East. Short kick is on, but he just dumps a kick to centre forward, hoping for a contest to go the Lions' way. Ground level ball does get to going, trying to pick it up, but can't is Heath. And when he was bent over, he just got tackled high, and he really wasn't going to grab it at all. So it's a lucky free kick for the Lions.
Well, Ryan Long wanted Doncaster East to play with a little bit more poise and purpose moving into the forward line, and we saw a little bit of that with Simon Wright directing traffic out off that half-back line then.
So it's Heath been marched forward because the man on the mark, is this a stand rule? Or I wasn't really concentrating, but he's been marched back 25 metres. So now Heath's in scoring distance within 30.
Could be some colourful language there too, Gav.
Yeah, well, if you look at they don't have a scoreboard to look at and wave at, so we should be right for that one. So it's Heath on an acute angle, 45 degrees, but he's within striking distance. He pushes to the left. The goal umpire's doing a dash, and it's a minor score. So that's the first score on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. It goes to Doncaster East. The visitors are 1 point leading by that margin.
He shouldn't have missed that shot there, Heath. I thought that was definitely a gettable goal then.
It's not an easy, for mine historically, when I've watched games here, it's not an easy end to, it seems like balls slide across the goals a bit. I don't know why that is. We'll work it out later. As Doncaster East go again, inside forward line, bouncing ball gets to the leading target of Shalakis, and he on the bounce gets it, but is taken out of bounds.
You wouldn't want to be taking too many shots from that sort of angle on the pocket because it is such a wide ground. So
yeah, that's probably
further out, a bit more of an angle, harder to kick.
It probably suited more a left footer, Ryan.
Yeah.
Boundary throw in 30 around from Doncaster East goals. But at ground level, it's a disputed ball and it's gone out of bounds again. So at least under the ruckman, it's a great contest so far.
There is no stoppage supremacy for either side at this particular stage of the contest.
So Ollie going against Spencer, and Spencer uses his weight and height just to lay the ball down, but this time there was no Sharks there at ground level, but they have the tacklers to win a free kick, and that was beautifully done by Tweedy. So they didn't have the rover, but they had the tackler, and it was a hot holding the ball. So Tweedy will look at options, and he's called to hurry up by the umpire because he was taking very long effort there. The kick goes to the wing, drop ball by White. So at ground level, it stacks on the mill on the wing and it'll be a ball up as we tick over 4 minutes with only one minor score. That going to Donny East. So it's now again, rucks go at it. Doncaster might spill out of the front of the contest, but no, not claimed there by Vickers. So it goes the other way through Siravola. His hand pass was a grubber. So now it's a tough ball to win. Siravola runs onto it again. He puts his hip into the contest. He wins the ball forward through muscle, and he might run onto it again. He's there as a shepherd as the kick comes off the ground by Santoro. Now Shalakis, he gets wrapped up so much so that he was trying to wiggle out of the tackle, and it's now a ball up 30 metres from Doncaster East goal.
Just on Cheravola, it's probably important to mention his 100th game today, so he'll be out for a big one today, this afternoon.
So again, Doncaster East win at ground level, and my co-commentator ready to help out. Matt Fodia, thanks for chipping in, as that was 4 minutes of good football, but it's Donny East just started to get some ascendancy go forward. Now they have a shot at goal, and it's in the hands of Heath.
He's got a bit of it already, hasn't he, Gav? That number has always been a goal kicker for Doncaster East, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, let's don't put the pressure on him. So from 50 metres out, I'll see what he can do as he took the short pass option, and he's hooked it again. This time it was for length. He was trying, and he's missed it big time again. The goal umpire signals another minor score. Doncaster East, 2 minor scores on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard, 6 minutes in first term.
He's overhitting them, isn't he?
Yeah, and he actually ran to that direction. His foot actually directed the ball to the left-hand side there.
So the Sharks will bring it back into play in the hands of the Tweedy. Campbell Tweedy. So some Tweedies in defence for Doncaster today, and of course Nord around the grounds. Long ball out towards the Spencer direction. Big fly coming over the back there from Coleman. Brought it to ground, but it's all the Lions. Whitling. Long ball inside forward 50. Who's he looking for this time? It should be all the Sharks, but they spoil themselves. Tweedy will come up with it. It's tackled by Locke. Umpire says, holding the ball.
Wow.
So good start for the tackling pressure there of the Lions, and really Brash and Ryan, they probably should have gobbled that up, the Sharks. It was 2-0.
Yeah, that was really poor there. Not enough talk there by the Doncaster defence, but really good tackle there by Jimmy Locke, locking that ball in that 50, which is what Doncaster East will be looking for this afternoon to create that turnover.
They're having all the play early. They need to start converting in these sort of shots, though.
Well, Jimmy Locke, this one's the easiest kick of the day, 25 metres out, and he, Gavin, has hooked that as well. It's incredible, Moz, from ourselves. We're yet to have a Tobin Brothers goal of the day. It's 3 behinds going the way of Doncaster East. Doncaster yet to score. 7 minutes gone in this first quarter.
There can't possibly be a wind out there, Brian, could there?
The trees aren't moving, Brush.
Doesn't look like it. And they're just struggling. Doncaster struggling to get this second kick out of their defence.
So long ball again. This time it was Coughlin bringing it in. Big fly. Might be a free kick for a shove out. No, Mark Pape going the way there of Haswell, one of the recruits from Newcastle in the New South Wales for Doncaster East. Nice kick and the lead up again. This time it's Sam Rowe. And he'll mark 45 metres out on a slight angle, but a man of his calibre won't be really worried about either the distance or the angle, you would have thought.
Yeah, you would expect a man of Sam Rowe's quality and class to be able to thread the needle here.
So Rowe, he'll shoot from just outside the arc, and Doncaster East have had all the play for other than the opening minute. And really should get a goal for their efforts. So Rowe comes in, a little bit of that. It's come into the trend now, the Josh Kennedy double skip. He connects. This is an absolute mung. It's floating out to the left. And now we have 4 behinds, all that one way. Maybe there is a slight breeze, a zephyr.
That little stick left of the big stick, that's when you get minus score. They need to get it between.
Well, and I'm sure Ryan James is furiously jotting that down on the boundary line, Gav. But it's 4 behinds at the moment, Doncaster East. Doncaster yet to score.
So the long kick out to about 4-on-4 in a marking contest. So the punch comes out and Donny East contain it inside their area, out of bounds, left pocket. Yeah, it's a funny one. It's like it's contagious where you hook your foot just hoping not to.
Max King.
So it's going to be a boundary throw in again. Spencer dominating, but ground level, it's this time 1 forward again by Donny East. Kick just charges in and on the lead. Well done by Rowe. He was leading into it, and as defenders were falling in that area, he slid in and on his knees he took a nice chest mark under some peril of getting connected with, but he didn't. He took a nice chest mark.
I think you've got to be a big concern with the Doncaster defence. That's the 4th inside 50 mark that they've given up, and they have been quite easy that the second one by Rowe haven't really had enough body on body against him.
So he led up nicely there and he slid into the mark. So Rowe, has he learned from his last kick? Put it straight on the laces. This time it's a better kick, but again it's drifting. And carbon copy, this time it's a little bit more accurate, but still minus.
They're getting there, Gav.
It's getting closer. It's 5 points to the left. Doncaster East on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard are 5 points. Doncaster yet to score.
Maybe they should add... Maybe they should aim inside right goal post.
Yeah, well, even right out far right. We don't know where they're aiming to. We'd love to know. So... Coming out of Vents is Coughlin. Runs his full distance. Kick was smothered. And the Lions, they run it in towards the goal. Might come to Shin. There from Darcy Jones Hughes. He just sort of shinned it whilst chasing down. So Doncaster, as Ryan mentioned, they're flat out at the moment. It's 6 behinds. So they've been let off. They only trail by 6 points. And we've gone 10 minutes. As the scoreboard has indicated they've got to score. They don't. But they just have not been able to get it out of their defensive arc. This time they go to Spencer. It was the skipper Massini bringing in, and Dylan Ollie slapped it over line for a boundary throw-in.
The only downfall to a local rivalry where both clubs have Doncaster in their name is that we're going to confuse ourselves.
Yeah, we are. I need to go
scoreboard.
Sharks and Lions. So Spencer and Ollie. Spencer just gets rid of him. But can the Sharks make something of it? Jack Mahon, back for his first game of the year after a practice match suspension. Left him out of round 1. We'll have a ball up.
I'm just wondering whether Doncaster East would be quite prepared to give up the ruck and try and feed off Spencer for the rest of the afternoon.
So they're doing. Mahon came through, got the handball away to Cole Vickers. That we like the ball in his hands. He hooks it wide, looking for J-Mar. He'll up against Gordon. Not Gordon under it, but Gordon got a hand to it. And then coming through, it looks like it might have been Jones Hughes again. And we'll have a ball up. Half-forward flank for the Sharks.
Just as long as Ollie provides a contest and if Spencer wins, but if Doncaster East playmakers get in the right positions, they're going to win the clearances all afternoon.
It's a secondary ball up on the bottom of that pack. He's the number 10 for Doncaster.
And that's Milford Robertson.
It is.
Not 3. He's 10.
Here we go again. Around the footy. It's Milford Robertson again. And we'll have another stoppage. Got the bright green boots on, which is nice. So Vickers has got the Whitling matchup just off this contest. Rowe came through as the second ruck and just sprinted past Spencer there to slap it towards the boundary line, and we'll have another stoppage right in front of the Doncaster bench. Of course, Chris Anarkis. Oh, no, sorry, it's a free kick going the way of Appleby, and he brings it into the corridor.
Dangerous tackle.
And it's dropped by the Donny East player, so it allows Doncaster to sprint the way in the forward line, and all on his own. Sprinting to the ball is Jamar. He was sloping his way there, and coming over the top of the defence says, I've got a cord just flinging in my head. As now it's a clearing kick from White. Thanks, Bruce, for that. So I thought you were going to hang me then for a second with that cord. Slightly distracting, but we move on. Gordon's got... No, this is Barassi for Doncaster. He kicks it inside with a wobbler. The bouncing ball sits up nicely for Jones, and he walks his way out of defence. But where does he go next? Butt kick it to the opposition. And, well, there's an off-the-ball free kick.
I think it's going to Vickers.
And Vickers.
Ran
too far.
Well, when I was talking about him walking out of defence, it wasn't
it was a gallop.
Park stroll. He's like, you are still meant to bounce or kick it.
Speaking of strolling, Gav, Mark Jamar doesn't look like top speed's his thing anymore.
No, but it's going towards Van der Haar. Van der Haar underneath it. He had 3 against him effectively, but the tackle was too much by Van der Haar trying to keep in the contest, and Heath walks his way out, bounces it there, though. That's better than Jones. Hands it over his teammate and Ryan. Ryan has to stop on his feet, and his hand pass didn't go too well for Locke, who just kicks it in front of himself. Turnover now, and that's his head's ripped off the Donny player there in Marn, and Marn will claim the free kick. So it's a bit messy as they go forward, both sides.
This is better, though. Marn came inboard, trying to open up the ground of the Sharks. They've had a little bit of the play these last 2 minutes, and just that final ball. As he's looked to have unloaded the barrel. He didn't quite get it towards centre forward. It's a chaos ball. Simon White sits under it, takes another intercept mark, and goes wide immediately to Whitling. Got some space on his trusty left boot. Little ball in the middle. Was looking for Appleby. Got there on the bounce in the end to Jones Hughes, who spears it into a Doncaster player, and then will have to be wrapped up by Massini. And then coming in and supporting him was Coughlin. So a ball up, centre half forward for the Lions. Ryan.
Yeah, just watching Tom Gordon, clearly he's been happy to run off Jamar and move up forward. So any time that the ball, the Lions have pushed forward, so we'll keep an eye on that. He'll probably look to try and run him off his feet.
Yeah, absolutely. And we piled in for a couple more stoppages.
What I like about Doncaster, if not winning the ball, their defence around the stoppage to maybe smother has been pretty good.
Yeah, and that was something Chris Anarkis talked about pre-game, that Nord walked it out of the stoppage last week. And so far, Doncaster East haven't been able to do that. Another fine example is there's a free kick going the way of Isaac Barassi for holding the ball. I don't think it was on DeLuca, but he stands the mark, although there might be a reversal. Jack Marn, as I mentioned, was reported in a practice game and missed round 1, and he's given away a free kick, and he's left Jackson Green, who was best on ground for the Lions in round 1 against Vermont in a Little West, where there might be a yellow coming out. There is yellow card to Jack Marn. That's not good. That's not good discipline, Brasher, especially after how hard they've worked to make sure that the Lions don't kick away from them. They finally had the ball with a bit of space.
Yeah, no,
they've given it away.
You can't afford to have your senior player off for 15 minutes for
and coming back from suspension as well.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
It should be 25 metres as well. Sorry, Ryan.
Nothing more disappointing when you've got the ball and you're about to go forward as well. That's a complete reversal.
So we've seen a couple of them already this year, of course. One against the bench out at the Basin.
Well,
no baseball cap throwing, though, so far today.
Well, they have written it down, Matt, so would that mean that they might offer
I think you have to write the yellow card down just for your match, but I'm not sure about a report. I think that'll come later. I'm not sure. We can find out more. I know we've been having a bit of technical difficulties with our boundary riders.
If we're going to give evidence, and I'm not ready, I'm not a witness.
Well, I still think Jackson Green. I think Jackson Green should get a 50-metre penalty, or 25, sorry. But he gives the handball to Josh DeLuca, left foot ball inside forward 50. They've been taking a lot of marks to the Lions. This one was knocked to ground, but Rose there tried to look for Locke. Spencer, handball out the back. Stepping in and out trouble there was Coughlin and did well. And then, again, a rush kick towards the wing. Simon White does well. Got his handball back in there to his teammate. And then they go forward again, the Lions. This time to the hot spot. Spencer sits under it, takes a good mark, and will try to slow things down for the Sharks.
So Spencer's is waving like a general to the left side. He does kick it to his teammate there. So they've... But that's where it stops, because the zone work behind the ball by Donny East is fantastic, but the lead-up is hit for McGarnis. McGarnis hands it back to the kicker, and we've got a short on. It doesn't get all the way to Barassi, but he might be on the end of a chain of hand passes. They're linking up now. Over the top, Milford Robinson runs from half-back, kicks it down the line. Underneath it was Coleman, had a jumper pull as he was in the marking contest, and the umpire now sees a holding the man decision go the way of Donny East. So a bit stiff there was Coleman. And White will take the free kick. So White from the half-back sees a great option all on the own. and it's well kicked to Shalakis. He's got a short option inboard. The bouncing ball hits up Locke. Locke looks for options. He'll just go towards goal. That's the prime objective. And this time, as they loaded, they're getting closer. They are getting closer. Hitting the post, you can't get any closer. 7 minor scores, though. Doncaster East on the Bendigo Bank are 7 points, all from behinds, and Doncaster yet to score.
I'll put good money on Darcy Jones-Hughes kicking the next behind, because Locke, Rowe and Heath have all got 2. He's got the only singles. It's just kicked to defensive 50 for the Sharks, and they've turned it over immediately. Low drilling ball will find a target. Dropping the mark there was Locke, been in it a bit. Handball over the top to Shalakis. Left foot ball from the pocket. Looks pretty good off the boot, and it'll be downfield by the sounds of it. There's a whistle. And then I think it should be Heath's free, but sprinting in was Daniel Scalia. And he's going to take the free kick from point-blank range. And finally, the Lions, Gav, have a goal. We've gone 17 and a bit minutes. It's Doncaster East 1-7-13. Doncaster yet to score.
Yeah, well, some poor defence and poor work there by Doncaster in the last couple of minutes. Let's go down boundary side, Steve White.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bit of a worse reception than my wedding down here with the signal. But as far as I'm concerned, a little bit of a breeze blowing now laterally across the ground from wing to wing, so it might come a factor later on.
Well, I'm happy it didn't end in divorce for you, Steve. But
put an asterisk next to that, Gav.
He just started with a low bar, Gav. It can only get better.
We'll hope we can improve your marriage between.
Do we offer that service?
Well, whatever we can do for you, Steve, we're here for you, mate. But it's now at ground level from the ball up in the middle. It's bouncing around with hand passes. DeLuca finally bounces out of trouble just with a nice fend off. His kick out wide was beautiful and hits up his teammate there. Heath got a short pass, but on the bounce, another target not hit for Donny East, and I reckon that's where the problem comes. They're just not hitting up their targets as they move forward, and there's a lot of numbers for Doncaster behind the ball just to congest the options.
Just a quick around the grounds. Beaconsfield 4 straight, 24 lead Bayswater 2 points, so it could be on for their first win in the EFL if they keep this up.
It'll be a big night down at Home Park if they get that. Ollie did well, followed up his hit out, got the handball over the top to DeLuca. He puts the ball to a dangerous spot, and there's another mark taken.
Andre.
As we go down to Brett Beston.
Boys, yes, we're just struggling down here, as Steve said, with a bit of reception. But while we're here, I can just tell you a couple of jumper changes for Doncaster today. Milford Robertson, that's Jade Milford Robinson, is in jersey 10. I think he was originally listed at number 3. And the other change today is Stoneham for Doncaster, who's wearing jersey 32.
So in comes Chris Phelan, and he kicks the second for the Lions. And they kick away 2-7-19 to Doncaster yet to score. Thanks for that, Besto. Brash, Ryan, special comments. What can Doncaster do here in the latter stages of this first quarter?
Well, all of a sudden, they're just the poise that Doncaster East needed has just come through. Doncaster, they can't get the ball out of their back 50, Ryan.
Yeah, you're right. They've been really struggling to transition the ball from the back line and also in the centre clearances too. Just in the middle, I don't think they've been able to sort of work with how dominant Spencer's been in the ruck. They probably need to start capitalising on that because it is such an advantage to have. But their ball winners, Doncaster East, have just had the luxury of right now.
Spencer runs into Ollie. The tap's nullified as Ollie gets up pretty high. And on the end of it, skipper Appleby gets it going forward for the Lions. A bouncing ball gets on the bounce to Locke. He picks it up now, has to elude. He runs around his opponent and kicks it into the pocket to the leading option on the... Oh, well done by Rowe. He nearly wasn't going to get there, but he scraped his knees and slid into it, and he got his hands underneath it just in time. And Locke, elusive, and finally hit a target going forward.
And he had so much time, Locke did, that he was able to lead out in front. He couldn't mark the ball, fumbled it, and still had time to be able to hit up a target.
There's been a stoppage called there, Gav. Must have been on the bobble as Jones-Hughes must get a free kick. Was attacking the footy. Umpire said play on. And then standing up in the tackle and taking it is Ryan Hoverton for Doncaster. So they've dodged another bullet there, the Sharks.
And I won't trust any supporters clapping that was a mark next time.
Well, absolutely. I did think it was given a mark. Spencer hit out straight into the hands of Hendon. Disposed of it somehow. Shalakis came through, might be pinged here. No, took it over the line for a boundary throw deep in the Lions' forward pocket. We've ticked into time on.
I would think that Doncaster have probably had 4 inside 50s for the quarter, I'd reckon.
And I don't think they've kicked a drop punt when they've gone inside any time either, Brash. There've been a few helicopters from the Sharks. So, and Spencer, tap into the corridor is a dangerous one. Jones-Hughes off the side of the boot. Heath, collision, free kick, Doncaster East.
Well, talk about a hospital ball.
Well, I assumed Jones-Hughes was going for goal there, Gav. But, off the side of the boot, Heath showed great commitment, and he's popped up and he'll have another shot. Of course, he's got 2 behinds already today.
Actually, both players showed great commitment to the contest then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was sort of, you got to pay it because of the
Yeah.
where the impact was, but there was no intent,
No.
you think, from Massini. But Dylan Heath, he's missed a couple from this exact spot, Gavin.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be aiming between the right goal post and right behind post as he trots in. He's got 0-2, and now he's got 1-2. Lions have opened up a 25-point buffer. They're 3-7-25. Sharks yet to score. 22 minutes gone. First term.
But it's almost like within a twinkling of an eye, Ryan, in 5 minutes, they've just turned up. They've just turned up the heat. Doncaster East, their attack on the ball carrier has intensified, and they've been able to completely take advantage of the ruck work of Spencer.
Yeah, I think we knew that was coming with the first 5 to 7 minutes. Doncaster East had all the play. They just weren't able to put the score on the board. And now that they are, you suddenly look at it, they're 4 goals up already. So they really have to start winning it right here in the middle because they haven't.
And it was this time it's Spencer who said, I'm going to knock it 5 metres, and running onto the ball is Coughlin. Coughlin gets it up and under, of course he does, and it's underneath it. It's Simon White, of course it is. So it's just so typical of the...
I was about to say a very cliche passage there, Gavin.
Yes, it was the inside 50s aren't pretty for Doncaster, and Simon White just reads everything beautifully. His short pass to the boundary was just the outlet pass, and high up and under by Whitling is definitely high and not very long. But at ground level, they do control the ball now, Lions, and on the bounce, it's a running player in Seravola. His hand pass forward to Appleby. Appleby spears it in. Is this time a mark? Nope, not paid, as Shalakis dives forward, but he can't get it on the bounce. Now at ground level, it goes to Shalakis. He gets it on his left boot under a heap of pressure. He kicks it, and on the bounce, it's a defender running back, and a long kick out for Doncaster, hoping for a mark. Contested half back. It's now into the bouncing ball. Good work there by Seravola again, working with Appleby. Also there doing it nicely is the Lions players, and Shalaka's on the lead. Runs into it a mark 40 metres out, and it was a bit of energy around the contest for Doncaster East. Long ball into the row underneath it. He muscles his opponent out. He plays on. Wasn't smothered as he kicked it.
No, it's a free kick.
Well, it's a free kick for a push out, so that's how he got to mark it unmanned, because his opponent was lying on the ground after being pushed.
And Ben McGuinness didn't even know it was his free kick, Gav.
I reckon he understood that he got muscled out of it.
So Rambaldi bringing out a defence again for Doncaster. They've gone this defensive side. That should be a mark paid, and will be to, looks like Tweedy. Tweedy gives the handball off immediately to Coughlin. Looks into the corridor. Dangerous ball, but he's got Spencer there. He can't get to it. Ball floats towards Anarchis. It bounces out the back. Might suit the Sharks in the end. Oh. Nice little spin from Van der Haar. He's got Jamar all on his own in the goal square. Can he get to it? Big mark, Jamar. He's under pressure from Gordon, but kicks the Sharks first. And against the run of play, they get their first goal. 1 straight 6. Doncaster East 3-7-25 on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. 24 minutes gone.
To say they needed that goal was an understatement, because if they didn't get that turnover there in the midfield, they were in real trouble.
I like that they used the corridor though, Ryan. It paid off.
They did open it up, and that was a contest they just had to win, because if they didn't, that could have gone the other way, and Doncaster East would have had some numbers on the far side on the wing there to transfer the ball.
And Gavin, like I said, Mark Jamar, he's tall, he's athletic, he's well built, but he is closer to 40 than a lot of us.
It was like a mini-series waiting for him to get on the ball.
I was about to say, Tom Gordon backed himself in another couple of metres, and Tom Gordon would have backed himself to Heath Shore, I reckon.
Tom Gordon was being a bit fair, because I reckon he could have caught up if he tried.
Well,
he just didn't think he could.
Spencer in the middle, tried to take it out of the ruck and then dropped it. Appleby came through, stormed away. He's got options inside forward 50. One of them is Scalia, stepped in and out, handball away. Umpire said play on. And now Coughlin's got it under pressure, and it's tackled on the siren. The umpire's paid holding the ball. So Daniel Scalia will have a shot for goal after the siren to cancel out that Mark Jamar goal. He'll kick from 35 metres out. I'd say he's a bit tighter than a 45-degree angle, but it's a nice side for a right footer. Now, he can run around on the hook as long as he comes back on his line.
Okay.
If he starts further left and comes back onto his line, he's okay.
Right.
Although,
shouldn't the umpire get behind him then? Isn't that what they
probably
do in the AFL?
I don't like that there's a dog in the forward pocket at our end here, just getting a bit of grass sent on. So obviously a few fans aren't backing him in, but here comes Scalia. He kicked the opening goal of the game from being opportunistic from a downfield free. And there he'll line up off the boot, spinning pretty well, going across the face though, and through for A behind. And that's been the story of the quarter for the Lions. On the Bendigo Bank scoreboard at quarter time, they are 3-8-26 with single goal kickers Dylan Heath, who's got 1 goal, 2. Daniel Scalia, 1 goal, 1, and Chris Phelan, 1 goal straight. And it's Doncaster, 1 straight 6, thanks to Mark Jamar, who got 1 on the turnover. We're going to go to a break. On the other side, we'll have some reports from the huddles and the second quarter.
As Sarah opened her best friend Jackie's wedding invitation, she was overcome with a wave of emotion. While her two young boys wrestled on the floor, tears of happiness rolled down Sarah's cheeks as she saw the words she'd been longing to see. Please note, this wedding will be a child-free event. Well, Sarah, looks like we're off to Eastland for a new frock and some heels. And let's book in that babysitter. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? Broke a finger, high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet: pee, poo and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
What makes me me would have to be feel like I've got some unique, funny characteristics.
There's things that you don't even realise are part of your personality. It's your attitude.
My ability to care for other people.
My love for others.
Celebrate your life the way you want, like I did with a fixed price funeral plan from Tobin Brothers Funerals. The price doesn't change and your life will be celebrated your way. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Local rivals go head-to-head. Doncaster versus Doncaster East, EFL Premier Division. You're listening on the SEN app and Radio Eastern 98.1. Welcome again to JJ Tully Reserve, and we'll get some around the grounds scores around the Eastern Football Netball League.
So, First Division scores, we've got Beaconsfield, 6 straight 36 going up against Bayswater. No goals, 3 behinds, not looking great for the Kangaroos there. The Basin, 1-2-8, is up against Boronia, 3-1-19. So, Boronia looking like they might go 3-0 if they keep that up. And not top of the table clash, but 2 heavy hitters in the Third Division. We've got Warrandyte, 1-4-10 against Donvale, 2-1-13.
Some nice scores from around the ground there, Jared. And, of course, Jared, you were down at Whitehorse this morning for the women's action. Give us an insight into the first round of Premier B. It was high scoring.
It was pretty high scoring, mainly from the Donvale end of things. Whitehorse, they did struggle a little bit, but they showed some good things in the final quarter. It was a really fun day, great weather. Just really enjoyed being out there. And, yeah, looking forward to doing some more stuff down in the women's league.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That'll be great.
Looked pretty well supported too, Jared.
Yeah, no, it was a good crowd. Very good crowd, indeed.
A lot of momentum around Whitehorse at the moment. And it looks like one of our bender riders has gone to one of the huddles, so we might hear from them soon. But Brash, Ryan, before we hear from them, what do Doncaster have to do? Because they're getting belted everywhere but the hit-outs. But they're still in it. It's only 20 points.
They need to really start to use Spencer the way that they should. He obviously dominated in the ruck. He's got a lot of height advantage. They've just got to rove to him. They've been killed. I mean, Appleby, who just seems to have so much space when he gets the ball, and even going forward defensively. Every I think it's almost every option, not just Rowe, but you've also got Dylan Heath, a few others who just seem to have so much space that they can lead into and have time, and that's what's been killing them.
I think, Ryan, when you've got 20, when a side basically has control of the contest 20 minutes, right, where the ball's in their forward half out of 25 minutes with 3 goals, 8, as you return, you'd probably be feeling a little bit cheated, really.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's if you want to take a positive out on a Doncaster point, is that they're only 20 points down, and they should be 7 or 8 goals.
I'm worried though that they haven't got a key forward that's going to get them back into the contest, because they can't even get the ball inside 50.
Well, I think they've got one, but Jamar's not mobile enough. Like you said, he's going to be one of the guys. If he can take marks inside 20, he'll kick straight. But he's not moving. He can't get up the ground.
No.
Nick Coleman and Van der Haar are going to be key. They're their high half forwards, Brash. But I don't know. I just look at Doncaster East forward structure. Ryan James spoke about it pre-game. They don't want to be that long kick down the line sort of operators. And so far today that they've actually had some lead-ups, Rowe, Heath, Shalakis, as we go boundary side with Brett Beston and Steve White.
Yeah, thanks, boys. For as long as we can hear you, pretty happy in the Doncaster East camp. They were happy with the back six, the mids, the forwards. Probably a little bit more movement required from the forwards, but the basic message was just keep doing what you're doing. They're all pretty happy with it. Steve?
Yeah, Christianakis wasn't happy with the accountability. I thought that they were too reactive across the middle, especially, and just wants to see better improvement in the one-on-one battles and lock it into the forward line to try and get back on the board and even the score somewhat.
Well, thanks. We're hearing you two loud and clear, so that's something to take of solace. So we're back in the middle, second quarter action.
It was great that the umpires waited for you boys to finish your comments, so that's fantastic. Spencer again wins the tap at ground level, hasn't been taken away by the Sharks.
We'll be waiting all day for you, Gav.
It's been a busy morning, but we've been all good getting here, and it's now Spencer kicking it long down the ground, but again, it's been chopped off by Doncaster through Paparonis, and he's got a short on. Oh, as well. He's
just dropped the ball, Gavin.
Yes, when you kick it, you got to connect the leg to the boot, but he decided not to the last minute. It's fell to the ground, still laughing, but now the kick goes inside 50. It's been chopped off by Doncaster, and Coughlin's got it. Just as the runner is about to kick it, he's decided not to.
Well, Josh DeLuca, he showed all the talent that brought him to the AFL, and then maybe something that he'll rather forget as Coughlin goes to the centre wing, looking for Spencer. Out the back, it's Simon White. So the Lions committing more numbers to that Spencer contest. Whitling over the top to Heath. Been hyperactive, Dylan Heath, today. Long ball over the head of Phelan. It's a scrubby one. Scalia leads up to it. Got his hand back to Shalakis. He loves a goal. Little left football. Might have been touched off the boot. It is. Appleby ended up with it. Was thinking about the goal. Got the handball off to DeLuca. This time he makes connection, Gavin. But it wasn't much better. Out of bounds on the full. So
maybe he knew.
Absolutely. We go Jared Beelan around the grounds.
Got a couple more around the ground scores. East Burwood 5-2, Mulgrave 4-1. And we've also got Glen Waverley Hawks 15 points up against Ferntree Gully 7.
Ramboldi kicked it long, dropped by Magana. Spencer was there to help. Maybe he could have been the marking option. It's been spilled to Haswell, gets the hand pass off. And now Doncaster East long row. He's just been pushing everyone and his teammates. And he marks as he lies on his teammate, but that's not been paid to Rowe. And
just might have knocked his teammate out.
Scala's going, well, if you're not going to pay it, at least give me a sympathy free kick. My own teammate just fell on me and no mark paid.
I wonder why he didn't pay it as Rowe got the hit out back into the corridor, left to do his own work. Coming through is Tweedy and Heath. Heath wants his right boot. In the end goes with the left foot scrubber. Here's a chance for the Sharks. They go out wide. The kick there from Mancini. Out in front of Milford Robertson, but it's stolen. Jones Hughes, or Stoneham, apologies. Short ball into the middle. Here's a chance for the Lions. Spencer's just sitting in the hole in front of Rose. Scalia, good movement. Shalakis wants it in the pocket. Phelan is short, and that's pretty poor from Coughlin. That's what Chris Anakis was talking about, I'm sure, that accountability. Phelan just let up in so much space, Brash, and now he's having a shot from 40 metres out.
Yeah, just not enough accountability, Matt. The Doncaster East are running in waves at the moment, and that's a real problem for Doncaster because the game could get away from them very quickly here.
Well, Phelan, he's already kicked one straight today. Can he get a second? From just outside the arc. Look pretty good off the boot, Gav. It's going to get there. It is. Oh, no, free kick.
On the line.
Free kick on the line, blocking against, I think it's blocking against Josh DeLuca on Jake Spencer there. So Phelan, beautiful strike. And in the end, Spencer will bring it out. Nice kick out wide to Coughlin. And once again, Doncaster get a reprieve.
Coughlin, he looks ginger on the leg. Is that a hammy?
He doesn't look good there.
He's only kicked at 15 metres, so it's something bad. As now Ryan kicks it into the forward line, but in the way there was Mancini, chopped off. Rowe picks it up. He's going wider and back just to get a mark, and there is a marking option in Whitling, and that's interesting that Donny drop it. And Rowe was there, but he kicked it away from goals. Now the short pass comes into the leading option of Scala, and this time he shakes off anyone falling onto him, and he walks in and finds a mark on the lead.
Coughlin's got to come off. He can't run.
Well, yeah, he's trying to get off, but that forward structure that Ryan James spoke about, they're not being reliant. And even then, Sam Rowe last year is trying to hook that over his shoulder, isn't he? But instead, I know it looked a bit unconventional, Gav, but he found an option. Now Scalia's got a set shot.
Well, it was smart to get to Whitling, and Whitling didn't think he had the distance from 50, but Scarling just led up like a steam train and took the mark. 45-metre kick it is. It's the right pocket. So how's Scala been? He's got on the end of a downfield free kick. He's missed another one. That's his second miss, but this time Doncaster East, they're missing to the right. So it's Doncaster East on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. 3-9-27, Doncaster 1 straight 6. Jared with scores around the ground.
Couple of big scores and potential boilovers here. We've got Norwood 40 points up against Vermont 2 in the Premier Division. And also the big one for me is Templestowe 5-1-31 leading South Belgrave just 2 behind.
Well, big stuff from the Dockers there. That might be an incorrect score. We do get that, Jared, but keep an eye on it. Norwood, a few of us tipped them on the weekend forecast, Jared. Yours included.
Boundary.
As we go boundary side, Steve White.
Yeah, Liam Coughlin looks like his left ankle. He's had to take the boot straight off, so I'll keep an eye on it, see if he comes back on this quarter.
Thanks, Steve, there. Spencer hit out, got it forward, and then sharking it was Anarchis and goes inside forward 50 for his namesake club. Ball spoiled. Vickers has got a chance now if he can gather it. Might have got a free kick for High. He might be ping-ponging the ball, just got his kick away, but it should be all the Lions. Gathering it back there is Haswell. Brings it out of defence. Nice low ball. Finds a tuck there in Paparonis.
I think that was Chris Anarchis' first touch of the afternoon.
Showed some class, though.
Yeah, it did.
So Donny East will go from right half back to left half back with the long kick, and nicely finds Ryan. Ryan looks left, and then he balks his way to go through the middle. So here you go, Donny East, straight as they can do with DeLuca make it in the centre. Gives it back to Ryan. Ryan, long ball, finishes up chipping it short to Appleby. The skipper looks for Rowe. McGarnis gets in better position this time because the kick favoured him as Rowe's looking, going, put it close to the boundary line. It suited me, but McGarnis hands it off to Malloy. Malloy just dumps his kick. Lucky not to be out in the full. And the Sharks sigh of relief as it bounces out of bounds on half-back.
Sharks seem to be caught out of position multiple times when the Doncaster East have come forward, and especially then there was about 3 or 4 Lions players in the middle there, not one Sharks player that was there to put enough pressure on.
Are they sagging back? Because Doncaster East are going short a lot, and maybe the Sharks players are trying to get back in numbers, and they're just leaving a lot of easy short kicks through the middle. Because that ball movement there was a little bit like Chinese checkers. They were just sort of zigzagging their way through. There's a free kick going the way of Appleby.
Sorry, well done by Ryan, balking his way into the middle, I think.
That was because they didn't have a key forward open then.
So Rowe's got the sit here. Big fly from the back. McGarnis did well, brought it to ground. Can Doncaster get away with it? Umpire says holding the ball. Christian Teal took on one too many tacklers. And it's going the way of Chris Phelan, and I'm backing him in from here. He's a beautiful kick of the football.
I think he'll make amends and get his second here.
Well, it wasn't really his fault, the last one, was it? It was Josh DeLuca, who had a horror 3 minutes. DeLuca, he missed the footy, then he kicked it out in the full, and then he gave away a goal.
It's almost like...
Wouldn't have to shepherd if he kicked it longer.
No, that's a good point.
I reckon he stubbed his toe as he was going through with the follow-through.
So Phelan stabs at it, but beautiful-looking kick. And the ex-Subiaco Premiership player has his second. And we go to the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. It's Doncaster East 4-9-33, leading the Sharks 1 straight 6. And he's leading the way for the Tobin Brothers goal of the day because he's kicked 2 out of the 5 gap.
Yep. Definitely. Well, we've got to get onto that because they've been ragged efforts
we've
so far.
got a few behinds of the day as we go to Ryan Long. Ryan, what are your thoughts so far? What can Doncaster do now? Obviously, besides probably just getting a bit more accountable, but do they need to press up and stop that short kick?
They do, because obviously if they're fighting numbers back, it's not helping, because obviously Doncaster East have had just they've had players open still. They've been able to take some pretty easy marks up forward. So they just need to have a bit more accountability. Get their hands on the footy first, like they're doing just right now.
Well, how clever Anarchis. He literally tapped it down when he was about to be tackled, and he got the free kick, and Doncaster played on.
Marn back on the ground too.
And I reckon Anarchis was probably like, leave it to me, boys, next time.
We gave it off to Jack Marn. First kick up's coming back on from yellow card. Gav, turnover.
So it's Donny East transitioning from left to right, and now they're off to the races through Lauva. Lauva on half-back. He might be a bit slow to get the ball to boot, but finally goes towards Rowe at half-forward. Big punch from Maganis. Great effort. He's there to rove his own spilling effort. He comes in with the tackle, so that's great defence by Benny Maganis. He had help from Anarchis, but it is all numbers with Donny East on the wing just to control it. Short hit-up pass. Ceravola's underneath it. He needs some help with roving. His kick around the corner on the left doesn't suit the running player in Scala, and Scala has to escort it around the half-forward line, boundary line.
They just have so many numbers around each contest. Doncaster East, they are working so hard for each other here.
Yeah, they're working harder, and also when Doncaster are playing like a team with 4 200-centimetre blokes inside 450, they're bombing it long a lot, considering they've only got Mark JMR. Spencer took the midfielders out of it and just cleared it himself, got a little handle over top, but it's taken over by Jackson Green. Good to see him back out there, or running around pretty freely after that knock from Jack Mann earlier that saw Mann off the ground for 15 minutes. He's back on now. So we'll ball it in. 70 metres out from the Lions' goal. They lead by 27 points here at Shrams Reserve. Eastland EFNL Match of the Day, SEN, Eastern FM, Facebook and YouTube. Mann got the clearance into the centre corridor. Hendon's under it. Bounce. Beats them all. And then a nice little gather, and away go the Lions again. Green, little tap. That was clever. And then the smother was well done by Tweedy. Coming through, Milford Robertson took on a couple of tacklers, got his handball away, but turned it over to a Lion, and then a little short ball finds Aaron Ceravolo, and he marks 35 metres out on a 45-degree angle.
That was well played by Doncaster. They turned it over, but they didn't lose. They didn't panic and held their nerve and won the ball back again. And now they've got a very hard scoring opportunity, but nonetheless another inside 50 for them.
So Ceravolo from just inside the paint pops it up to the hot spot. Phelan's the target. He backs in. Brought to ground in the end by Giacobi, and then the handball over the top is looking for Malloy. He's been quiet, and Narcos has to go and get it, and the coach snaps it around the body, but that's out of bounds on the full, and the Lions should get another entry here as we go down to Steve White in the boundary.
Yeah, Liam Coughlin's had his ankle strapped up. It looked like he's getting ready to come back on the ground, and Jamie Marganis has gone off with a corky for the Lions.
Loose checking from the Doncaster defence as Mincini was too late, straggling left Ceravolo all on his own at forward 50. But he's struggling with the journey. Short passes on, and Shalakis gets in good position, holds his ground and takes an easy chest mark, uncontested, as too late was Malloy. And it's another kick at goal for Doncaster East.
That's just such a coach killer. I mean, even now still, that you have that much space inside 50 to be able to lead in. They don't seem to be manning up very at all. They need to get a bit nasty. They need to start making Doncaster East earn their marks.
So it's in the hands of Shalakis, noted goal kicker. He, with the left foot, he puts it to the right post, and that's bending all the way for a miss. It's still going to be in as the Rucks knock it inside and to the ground level. It's Phelan having a flying shot, left foot under heap of pressure, misses to the close side. Another minor score for Doncaster East. Bendigo Bank scoreboard 11 minutes into the second term. 4-10 Doncaster East, leading Doncaster 1 straight 6.
Rambaldi brought it back in, found Quinvallen, and he goes out to the outer side. It's all the Lions once again, and taking over the line there is Riley Jones. And I guess Brash and Ryan, we keep speaking about Doncaster seem to be so obsessed with the long ball to the top of the square, but a lot of the marks this quarter from Doncaster East have been low balls to that 30-metre out sort of region. So they've just got to maybe think about it more as Anarchis came through from the Spencer tap. Didn't quite shark it. He'll get a free kick. Was taken high, the two-time Chandler medalist. And he's at defensive side of the square for the Sharks. Goes inboard. This is how they got their first goal, from using the corridor. Mincini's got the footy. He'll give it back to Anarchis, who dropped the footy. Maganis, his premiership teammate, gives him the shepherd. And Rambaldi, the skipper, can go out wide. He's got a man out here. He'll come back again. Goes short and finds Anarchis. So they've worked their way out. I think he played on there, but he'll get away with it. But nothing ahead of the footy, Gavin. And Anarchis goes the switch. And Spencer's out on the outer side if they can get it to him. It's Tweedy. Good kick. It's a low ball. Spencer's a big fella, though, and it's going to beat him over the boundary line for a boundary throw, and that is pretty poor.
That is terrible. That is really terrible disposal there.
They had an out number, not under pressure, turnover, Brash, as we go to Jared Beelan for scores around the grounds.
So we've got Division 1 scores, Croydon and East Ringwood tied up at 2-1-13 apiece. And then we've also got Oakley District maybe making a good punch of it against Knox, 3-3-21 against 5-9-39.
Interesting. Rowe is in the ruck contest on the wing as Donny East sprint forward. They've got numbers sprinting through the ground. Now lead-up option. This time it's going to be again Scala on the chest in the end because he ran into open space. It went over one defender's head as he led up his opponent in Messini. He could only look on forlorn as Scala took a chest mark 40 metres left, right pocket for him.
They are getting absolutely hammered on transition, Doncaster.
They're getting sucked into the ball, Brash. Like, there was 5 blokes around 2 players, and then that left Whitling out on his own.
So Daniel Scala kicked 2 last week against Vermont, and he's looking for his second for today. He's had a couple of misses as well, but he's had the look at it recently, and that's another minor score. So we're talking about misses to the left. They're missing to the right this term. So this is a scoreboard to look at. Interesting. Doncaster East 4-11-35, leading Doncaster 1 straight 6. It's only a 29-point lead in the context of the game.
Yeah, it feels like about 60, doesn't it, Gav? As Rambaldi brings it out long in the Spencer direction. In the end, the mark's taken out the back there by, looks like it might be Van der Hart. It is, but nothing ahead. So he's going to go the switch here. I like the idea. It's got to be a good kick, and it is. Tweedy will take the mark. Just defensive side of the wing. Got to go quickly. Hendon's ahead of him, so he gives the handball to him. He'll want to get it back, Tweedy, and does. Got to get on the boot. Goes inside forward 50. It's a mung. And it's been turned over. Marked by Mitchell Ryan. And then he immediately switches himself. Finds a man out there in Whitling. Covers a lot of ground, this man. And takes off. Long ball down the line. Scully is there. It should be the Sharks, and it's Anarchis underneath it. Centre wing. Can the Doncaster coach get something going for his side?
He's still got nothing to kick to.
Jamar's about 70 metres and he wants it long. He's going to have to go there, Anarchis, but he's got to get around Scalia first. He does it in the end. Little short chipping ball. He's got a target. Can he find it? And he can. And this man been pretty quiet today. He goes to the top of the goal scorer. Didn't get to catch who it was. Hendon's got a chance to take a mark and does take a mark. Should get 50. The kick came in from Xavier Smith. And now Kane Hendon took a nice, courageous mark. I don't know who came across the front of the pack there, Brash, but Hendon can go back from directly in front, 20 metres out, to give Doncaster their second.
At least he earned it.
He did earn it. And I think in the way the Anarchis got himself into tangle, it actually worked out better because he didn't just bomb it long. So, as we've seen, Doncaster have kept lowered their eyes a lot. Doncaster themselves haven't, but they've got a chance to bring it back to just 23 points, Gav, despite having a lot less shots. Hendon comes in and makes no mistake. He pops it through the former Surrey Park man. Doncaster 2 straight 12. They trail by just 23 points despite Doncaster East having 15 scoring shots. They're 4-11-35. We've gone 15 minutes here on Eastland EFNL game day.
It's actually quite hard to believe that they're only 23 points behind Doncaster because they should be probably 49 points down because Doncaster East, if it wasn't for their bad kicking, they should be a lot further in front.
I'm losing paper, Gav, keeping up with all the behinds. It's usually the goals as we go Jared Beanland around the grounds.
Thank you. We've got a couple of Division 4 scores here. Chirnside Park 1-3-9 against Sylvan, 3-3-21, and then Nunawading 2-1-13 against Kilsyth, 1 straight 6. And then we go back up into Premier Division where we've got Rowville at quarter-time scores 3-4-22 to North Ringwood 1-1-7.
Spencer won the ruck contest. The free kick will go to Doncaster in the middle of the ground with Anarchis getting it. Will go boundary side in a second. He's not going to be able to play on from spilling it 5 metres away from the mark. So he comes back and he has a left option with his right foot. He finds up his leading teammate there in Quinton Leven. He's now the short pass. Is now Doncaster will go ahead again with a long kick by Tweedy. Tweedy loads up, and from 60, I was looking for the pass, and he went all the way for a minor score, though. But it was an impressively long kick from Tweedy, and he misses the left side.
I think there's almost a time you would actually prefer to have a coach on field like Doncaster do have. It's someone that is able to. It's so hard to be able to steady something when you're on the bench and not able to influence a game. But obviously, Anarchis can now have a bit of an influence in the middle.
As we go boundary side.
Yeah, it's certainly noticeable down here, boys, at Doncaster are just having a good little period here, and the wind is blowing sort of down that end of the ground, so they can certainly have a crack from long range, but there's certainly just a good little period for them. And just on the behinds you were talking about before, Matty, Steve and I think we should have maybe a behind of the day. There's been so many today.
Well, I'm happy to as long as I give away my awards, Besto, I'm happy. I've done my job as the ball came out from Tom Gordon, and Doncaster do well to cause a stoppage and don't let the lines go end to end. So, as Besto said there, they've got a little bit of the play here. Spencer got the hit out, straight down to Heath. Heath got the handle off to Appleby. He goes down the line looking for Shalakas. That might be a free kick. Yeah. And it is. Unrealistic attempt, and the umpire will bring it back. There was no advantage.
I almost thought that...
I think you can make the argument either way. So,
well, what I was going to say with just grunting, that he might have got underneath him a bit. But
tunnelling. Yeah. So Shalakas has got the free kick. He's been He's been everywhere, returning to the side today.
Well, at least Malloy agrees with me anyway.
Yeah, he definitely does. Appleby's wanting it at centre-half forward. In the end, Chilakis will poke it over the top to Heath, who marks in front of Anarchis. He's had a lot of the ball, Dylan Heath. Been impressive. Kicked 1 goal, 2. He's got Phelan short if he wants him. Goes over him, Scalia direction. Rowe will get there in time, will he? McGarnis sort of ran under the footy in the end. Tweedy does well, being one of the Sharks' best. Gave it to Coughlin, back on the ground after that ankle scare. His little grub up found its way to Spencer. Clearing handball to Rambaldi. Handball down the line to Anarchis, who's lifted in this second term. The Sharks go long down the line. It's a 1-on-3. It's all the lines. Can he bring it to ground there, Van der Haar? He does really well. If he can get a stoppage out of this, the Sharks will take that absolutely. Well done, Todd Van der Haar. And the ball stoppage inside their forward 50. They trail by 22 points as we're closing on time on in this second term.
Yeah, he was underneath it, but he punched it over the back, and over the back was the boundary line. So that was his friend, as it's now a contest, and all the players that he had behind the ball are now inside 50 for support of Spencer. Spencer knocks it back into the corridor, but Ryan's there and taken without it. Might be a free kick to Tony East, but no, it plays on. As now the ball flies towards Coughlin. Coughlin on the right boot puts a high up and under. He wasn't looking where he kicked it because the bounce goes the way of Gordon, who storms onto it. Gordon runs away from fullback. This bouncing ball doesn't suit his teammate, but it's an indiscriminate tackle when the ball wasn't with the player, and it's going to be Doncaster East getting the free kick on half back, and that's some relief because it was a 2-on-2 and the ball was in dispute. So it's 19 minutes gone, second term. Doncaster East 4-11-35, leading Doncaster 2-1-13. Yes, there is 12 scores the difference, and it's 22 points margin. It's a free kick going the way of Coman. He's got a short on. He can't hit up his teammate. I think that was Carlson on the lead. He can't get it, but it sprints over for forward through Mahon. Mahon goes long, but it's now a one-on-one bouncing ball. Off the ground kick. That was on the volley from Anarchis, and he was 30 metres out. It just bends off and misses to the left for another minor score. Doncaster 2-2-14, trailing Doncaster East 4-11-35. Time on second term.
And they're starting to get a little bit of the play, the Sharks. They need to capitalise on this momentum as White takes the mark. Defensive 50, they're walking it out the lines. Just think about how tough it is for the Sharks, and the lines are already 60 metres from home. So they'll pop it high. That's not a great kick. It might be made to work by Scalia, who sat under it. McGarnis came through, got the fist. Mahon roved it, gave the handball off, and they find their way to the half-forward flank. Hendon kicked a goal earlier. The former Surrey Park man pops it to the top of the square. Jamar's the target. Will it get to him? Van der Haar in the end probably spoiled his teammate. Ryan's around it. Vickers as well. Might be a free. Is a free. Cole Vickers gets a free kick for a high contact. And the number 14 can go back from 25 metres out on a 15-degree angle and kick Doncaster's third and bring them to 15 points the difference.
You know he's going to kick it because he's been marched back to the line.
Yeah. Oh, has he? There's a 50-metre penalty, 25-metre penalty as well for discipline while I was looking at Gav, thinking of a nice little witty line, and I've missed some of the play. So Vickers will certainly pop through their third. And after all of Doncaster East dominance, it's just 15 points the difference as we get into the 21st minute here on the second term. It's Doncaster 3-2-20, Doncaster East 4-11-35, Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
Just the last 5 to 7 minutes, Doncaster have stemmed the run here of Doncaster East, and all of a sudden, they're back within the contest, 15 points.
Jack Mahon back on the ground. Obviously, his ill discipline was something that will disappoint Chris Anarchis, but he has helped around the ball. He and Anarchis are getting their hands on the footy, and that's giving them some impetus out of the middle. As we go to Jared Beanland in the score centre.
So we've got the Basin. They've taken the lead against Baronia 4-6-30 against 3-2-20, and Bayswater having a bit of a fight back against Beaconsfield. Beaconsfield are 8 straight 48 to Bayswater 4-6-30.
So we recap here at Doncaster. They are a bit of a mini fight back because it's 15-point margin. Doncaster East, the visitors, are 4-11-35, as the umpire might have a second go at balling it up.
I've never seen that.
Just wasn't happy with the direction of it.
All umpires today doubling up, so good on them. Did the reserves as well.
No, that's impressive effort. So it's a 15-point lead to Doncaster East, but it's back in the middle after the Vickers goal, where he's marched forward 25 after the free kick. Now it's Hendon going long again. Well, the ball bounces off the contest. It was hard at it, defender versus attacker, and Doncaster now looking to get another score on the board before half-time. And they'll probably wipe their eyes and go, I can't believe the scoreboard if they get another one. But it's not, they're going forward in numbers now. Ground level ball. It's taking on the tackler. It's got to be holding the ball against the line players, and it's picked off by Mahon. So strong around the contest. Well, he wasn't paid the free kick. Well,
yes, he was. He was holding the ball.
Oh, I'm looking at the replay. Sorry.
Yeah. But Jack Mahon, like I said, obviously that yellow card, really disappointing, and it was a time when the Lions hadn't quite capitalised. And now, though, he's come back and he's starting to redeem himself. If he can kick this, I think he's definitely redeemed themselves. And the Doncaster Sharks will go into half-time, Brash, thanking their lucky stars.
They will, but they got to kick it. He still has to kick it, Jack Mahon.
He's on a 45-degree angle, but Doncaster know their ground very well. He won't be sliding this left. He pops it over the goal umpire's head, and that now is game on here at Doncaster. Doncaster 4-2-26, only trail by 9 because Doncaster needs to kick 9 more points, 4-11-35. We're going to half-time. That is the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
The pressure's been much better in the last 5 to 10 minutes, especially with Jack Mahon coming on, and you've got Anarchis has been really strong in the middle, and they're just not allowing Doncaster East to have as much space as they were having then, and obviously that's an example of that in the... Yes. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Brash and Ryan, Chris spoke about that their clearances against North, whilst they got more of them, they weren't clean. That one was clean. Anarchis got it. Nice little handball. Wasn't big, but just a little one forward. Opened up the corridor for Hendon to get out the front of the contest rather than just slapping it on his boot and giving the Doncaster East defenders a good look at it. So, yeah, I think they've got their A-grade midfielders in there, and you can see the difference. So Mark Jamar still looks like he's might be short of a gallop there. He mistimed his jump the last set of bounce, Gav. So
can he jump?
Well, let's see as he goes up in the middle against Ollie.
No, he can't.
He can't, but he still gets the tap. Hendon came through a boot at it. Appleby got the clearance for the Lions. Up and under should work out for the runners, and it does. Can they get another inside 50? Great chase there from the Sharks defenders. Coming through those, Shalakas walks in, handball. Can they kick a goal? Oh, no. That has summed up the day. Saravolo kicks it behind. Sums up the day for Doncaster East Lions. Why did he go the check side running into an open goal? That was the pace it was going to go.
Well, he had a lot more time to be able to steady up and put a drop punt through and just rushed it.
So Coughlin still looks a bit proppy on that ankle, Gav. Yep. But he finds a target. He's got Mahon underneath it. Couldn't take the mark. Hendon came through, got his handball away. Whittling's there. Mahon dives over the footy. That might be below the knees contact. Umpire says play on. Picking up now is Teal. Almost tripped over. Handball through to Coughlin. Took on the tackler and got through him. Nice little piece of play here for the Sharks. Looking for Spencer. The kick's ill-directed and goes straight to Tom Gordon as we go boundary side.
Yeah, it really is noticeable. Jamar looks pretty proppy on that ankle, but I think he's just going to try and run it off. I've just watched him for the last minute or so, and he certainly is hurting, but he's just going to run it out of there.
Carlson tackles Seravola, but he's lucky to get the free kick, not against him, but to him as he short passes to skipper Appleby in the middle of Doncaster. And now the short pass finds Locke on the lead at right half forward.
Was that not holding the ball?
Well, I would have thought that he had a heap of time and he took on the tackler, but Rose on the end of a short pass as he leads into the ball 40 metres out.
That's happened. That's about the 8th time that's happened, Brash. And how many times before Chris Anarchis just starts yelling at blokes to stand in the channels?
Yeah, they should know that.
By now.
It's their ground. They should know it.
Well, they haven't bombed long to the top of the square all day. Sorry, Gav.
That's all right. Rowe, he's taking his time. He's very deliberate. He's kicked 2 minor scores. He's trotting, he's tripping, he's dancing, he's kicking, and now it goes the length and straight, and it's a goal, and he is so happy with himself because it's only the 5th goal. First for Rowe. 5-12. Doncaster East 42 lead by 16 points. As Doncaster 4-2-26. I just have to remind myself of the scoreboard. It's 5-12.
You keep thinking it's 12-6 or something like that. But yeah, back to that point, like the Phelan, Shalakas, even the first quarter, they're leading up at the footy, yet Doncaster are defending like Doncaster East are a team that are kicking to the hot spot constantly, Brash. And I guess half-time will be a chance for Anarchis to address it, but they've got to address it because they're getting so many looks at goal.
They almost needed that goal, Doncaster East.
Yeah, well, despite the scoreline, as Gav said, despite their dominance, so Jacoby comes through and causes a second stoppage. But, yeah, like we said, we're talking about it like it's a 40-point margin. It is only 16 points.
I don't know whether Ryan James will be really happy with this side in the second
yeah, that lapse. They really did have them by the throat as it's cleared. Scala has been good. DeLuca socketed off the ground. Coughlin leads the way. It'll come through to Scala in the end. He wants to get on his right boot. Handball in front of DeLuca. Good chase. Great chase in the end from the Sharks defender, but Rose got the footy, steps inside, got a handball, Phelan came through, spun out from McGuinness, little left foot ball, is a goal. He's got his 3rd, and that's Tobin Brothers' goal of the day, contender and probably clubhouse leader at the moment. The Sharks trail 4-2-26, the Lions 6-12-48 after that Phelan goal.
junk time goals, they can really kill you too.
Red time, absolutely, like you said, Brash, because, the Sharks have worked so hard to get it back to 10 points, and now it's back out to 22.
Still, I don't think Ryan James will be happy with that 15, 20-minute period where they had everything going their own way. This is what happened against Vermont. They dropped their intensity, Doncaster East, and Vermont put 6 quick ones on them. So this is something that they still need to work on.
Appleby in the middle, hands it off, and they're now they inject out of the contest so well to Donny East, but the hand pass forward missed the target, and Hoverton ran on. He took on the tackler, but it's holding the ball, and it's in the hands of Jones Hughes, who goes long to Phelan. He's going to use his body. He didn't get connection, but he got to the ball. Hands it off to Appleby. Appleby from 45, row in front position, one hand at it. McGarnis falls to the ground, but picks himself up with the ball, and he hands it off to his teammate in Ramboldi, and that is a rescue mission well done by McGarnis, as there's no extra score for Doncaster East. Half time in this round 2 clash. Doncaster East, the visitors, are 6-12-48. Leading Doncaster 4-2-26. It's a 22-point margin, and Phelan's got 3 other goal kickers, Matt.
Yeah, other goal kickers. Dylan Heath has 1 for the Lions, as does Samuel Rowe and Daniel Scala. And then for the Sharks, it's singles to Kyle Vickers, Jack Marn, Kane Hendon, and Mark Jamar. We're going to go to the halftime break here on the Eastland EFNL Match of the Day. And on the other side of it, we'll have a halftime show with Jared Beanland, Brett Beston, and Steve White.
Today at Eastland, Lucy's trying on jeans for a momentous occasion. Coffee with the ex. She needs jeans she can move in because she's definitely moved on. Jeans that get a second look, but don't give any second chances. Jeans that say, why yes, I have spent the last 8 months in a post-breakup juice cleansing, kickboxing, personal training frenzy. And it looks as though she's just found the perfect pair. Bravo, Lucy. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? Broke a finger, high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet: pee, poo, and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
How would you like to be celebrated?
I think I'd like to be celebrated with lots of music, dancing, a bit of a party.
I'd like to be celebrated at the pub with a few frothies.
Maybe some colourful balloons, my favourite flowers. How about some glitter?
I'd like to be celebrated in space.
Outdoors, having all my family and friends together.
At Tobin Brothers Funerals, they know that every life is unique, and they think that every celebration should be too. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Oh, welcome back to Doncaster as we get set for a bit of a halftime show. Bit of a look back on what's happened in this first half. Brett Beston, Steve White and Jared Beelan joining us in the hot seat for this particular period of time. A little interesting period, Steve, in that towards the end of that second half, it looked like a second quarter at least, it looked like Doncaster were going to come back, but just Doncaster is getting a couple of late ones, which has just restored the balance, isn't it?
Yeah, look, a solid 10 minutes from the Lions to start the quarter, and then 5-7 minutes of, I'd say, consistent play there from the Sharks. I think Anarchis, he's only had, 3 touches. I mean, obviously with player coaching responsibilities, it's, 2 loads to carry from a 2-time Chandler medalist, but he got a little bit better back into that game. And once I think the Sharks were able to lock it in their forward line, they had greater success. But then those last 2 goals there from the Lions really snuffed out that any momentum that the Sharks had.
Absolutely. It was really noticeable too. I thought too that Doncaster had a bit of success. They were bombing it down the line late in that sort of second quarter, and they were using their big men because they have got a couple of big boys in the likes of Spencer and those sorts of people, and they were getting some marks, and that sort of was a bit of a catalyst to them getting back into the game.
Yeah, and look, Liam Coughlin obviously took that ankle injury early, and he's not back up to full speed. Other than that, that's a bit of a loss. Phelan, as you mentioned, really taking control of that game. Big target up that half-forward line for predominantly the last 10 minutes of that second quarter. So, Look, the Sharks really needed another one before that for halftime break, and they really got to get the first one, I think, out of the break to get back in this game.
Okay, let's bring in Jared Beelan. And Jared, you've been out this morning catching some women's football, I believe. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was at Springfield Park for the Premier B division match between Whitehorse and Donvale. It was a great day for footy. Not a breath of wind or anything, very sunny. Wonderful game as well. The Donvale Magpies, they got up 8-15-63 to Whitehorse 4-6-30. So a bit inaccurate by Donvale. It was a little bit worrying that they might have squandered their opportunities early, but they really took hold of the game. A couple of bright sparks for Whitehorse in the final quarter, a couple of consolation goals. Really thought Jazz D'Amato did very well with 5 goals for the Donvale Magpies. Very good to see Amelia Van Oosterwyk, a former AFLW Western Bulldogs player for Donvale. That was fantastic to see her work. And, Donvale, they got off to a good start, very commanding, and a great start to their campaign in 2022.
Good stuff. Good to see some women's footy, of course, which is a very strong competition in the EFNL. And just your thoughts on the first half. How have you seen it?
Well, look, it was looking very scary for a little bit towards the end of the second quarter for Doncaster East. When Doncaster started to get back on top, it was really interesting to think, well, maybe the Lions have squandered their opportunities a little bit. The Sharks got right back into it, and I would have been very interested to see if they came into halftime a little bit closer what it would have been like going into the second half. But at the moment, it looks like it might be business as usual going forward after Doncaster East got a couple of goals on the board late.
So, Steve, with the margin back out to 22 points, we talked about how Doncaster had worked their way back into the game, but Doncaster East have kicked away again. What's going to be the message in the Doncaster East the Doncaster Sheds from Chris Anarchis to try and work their way back into this game and maybe even go on to win it?
Yeah, look, I think it would be similar to the end of the first quarter. They're just getting killed in the middle. The transitions from the Lions are just too slick, and Anarchis did say at quarter time accountability. There was a bit more accountability in that second quarter, but look, they're just getting shredded across the middle. They've really got to lock it in that half-forward line, or at least get it into the half-forward line, where they've had some pretty decent success. I mean, as soon as Doncaster East get it down forward, it's either going to be a behind at least, but the Sharks really just got to win them battles in the middle. Otherwise, it's going to be a cricket score at the end of the day.
Jared, the other significant thing I thought towards in that second quarter, the wind, you sort of didn't notice it earlier, but there was quite a strong breeze coming down the ground, and Doncaster were playing with it, which I think made quite a big difference. They were able to get those long kicks forward, so that's not going to be an option for them in the second quarter, is it?
No,
third quarter.
Yeah, no. It seems that that was one of the main things that was bringing them back into the game, and one of their advantages, of course, is the tools down forward. You've got Jamar, you got Spencer who can rotate back there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Doncaster are able to deal with it. You'd think it would be mainly pressure on the ball carrier, trying to create turnovers and all that kind of stuff, and really just win it at the clearances.
All right, so boys, obviously it's 22 points. Maybe get some tips heading forward. I mean, Doncaster East in control at the moment. We did see the good period from Doncaster. Can they get back and ultimately go on to win this game, or have you got your hats on Doncaster East from here?
I've got Doncaster East from here. They were just too dominant for like long periods of the game, and really they should have been, at least say 8 goals after certain points. And I think if they're able to stamp that sort of authority back onto the game, then they'll be good to go for probably a fairly large margin by the end of the day.
Steve, how do you see it from here?
I'll stick by my earlier call that Sharks are going to get the first at least 2 out of the draw after half time to have even a sniff. But as I said, they're going to lock the middle down. If they don't, Donny East are going to run away with it. And probably I'd say if Donny East do win, it'll be 5-6 goals at least.
Thanks, boys. All right, we might take a quick break, and if we've got a bit of time, we might just come back and grab some around the ground scores at half time. This is EFNL Game Day.
As Sarah opened her best friend Jackie's wedding invitation, she was overcome with a wave of emotion. While her 2 young boys wrestled on the floor, tears of happiness rolled down Sarah's cheeks as she saw the words she'd been longing to see. Please note, this wedding will be a child-free event. Well, Sarah, looks like we're off to Eastland for a new frock and some heels. And let's book in that babysitter. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? Broke a finger, high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet: pee, poo and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
Sprained your ankle, bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner, close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
What makes me would have to be feel like I've got some unique, funny characteristics.
There's things that you don't even realise are part of your personality. It's your attitude.
My ability to care for other people.
My love for others.
Celebrate your life the way you want, like I did with a fixed price funeral plan from Tobin Brothers Funerals. The price doesn't change and your life will be celebrated your way. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, Jared. With some halftime scores, mate.
Ringwood. Oh, sorry, my mic just was not on. So in the Premier Division, we've got North Ringwood 117 to Rowville 3-4-22, and over to Division 1. We don't really have any other scores for the Premier Division except for the game we're at today. Doncaster 4-2-26 to Doncaster East 6-12-48. So Div 1, we've got Croydon 2-1-13 to East Ringwood 2-1-13. So scores tied there. heavy hitters here in this one. Moral Bark 8-6-54 to Montrose 7-6-48. That's a good, tight, close game there. Beaconsfield 8 straight accurate against Bayswater 4-6-30. Entered Division 2. Now we've got the Basin 6-6-42 to Baronia 4-3-27. So the Basin have taken the lead back against them. Knox are pulling away against Oakley Districts 9-9-63 against 5-4-34. Bit of an upset brewing here with Templestowe 5-1-31 leading South Belgrave 2 behinds only.
Start the game here at Doncaster versus Paid.
Probably. I don't like that there's a dog in the fourth.
3-8-26 to Donvale 5-3-33, and now down to Division 4. We've got Churnside Park 2-5-17 against Sylvan, dominating in this one 8-6-54. Nunawading and Kilsyth playing a real close one here 8-3-51 to 8-7-55. That's a good looking one here, and we've got the scores for Surrey Park and Forest Hill have just disappeared on me. So,
well, that seems like there's some good scores in there, Jared.
Talks about the evenness of Division 4, that you've got Surrey Park and Forest Hill close, Nunawading and Kilsyth. I think a lot of us thought Nunawading may may not continue keep up with the likes of Kilsyth, who have improved over the off-season, but they've done quite well so far today.
Yeah, they've had a bit of a slow start, Kilsyth, though, this season. They haven't hit their straps yet, but Nunawading was encouraging in week 1.
They've had 2 pretty decently. Surrey Park and Forest Hill are quite tough opponents, I guess. So they've been competitive in both games, which is what you want to see. The more competitive you get in Division 4, it is closing in, and I guess maybe Sylvan might be the standout so far. That's a 1v2 clash, and we saw Churnside Park 2 weeks ago, and they were quite impressive against Surrey Park. So Sylvan looks like they might be the team to beat there.
Well, it's 6-12-48 here, Doncaster East, Doncaster 4-2-26, Ryan. It looked like at one stage, 10 minutes into the second quarter, that Doncaster East had all the run, and it looked like they were going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and really put Doncaster to the sword. But Doncaster, to their credit, they found a way. Their coach, Chris Anarkis, in the midfield lifted. They got Jack Marn back on after his impression, and all of a sudden they started to find a bit of their mojo, didn't they?
Well, I think he'd be pretty happy that he put on the boots today of all games, because they needed someone in the middle just to be able to stand up, maybe lead direction, because they were just, a couple of times Appleby, a few other midfielders, Green, they just had that much space when they had the ball and no pressure on them at all, and they were able to hit up targets coming in, and Don weren't able to pick up on that. So to have him there just to be able to steady his ship in that quarter, finally got a bit of influence in the game and started able to get some forward momentum for the Sharks, which was non-existent in the first quarter and a bit.
I know they were 2 late goals, Doncaster East, but I don't think Ryan James would have been happy with second quarter from Doncaster East. I just thought that they had all the momentum. Their kicking for goal was not good, but all their foot skills around the ground has been very good. Their tackling pressure's been good, and they've also been able to, they've been hunting in numbers. So that's the only knock we've got on Doncaster East at half time is the fact that they're 6-12, when they probably should have been about 9-8 or something. I would thought.
Look, I think the most disappointing. Obviously, footy is a momentum game, so once you do have momentum, you want to use it and you want to be able to kick scores. And they just weren't able to do that, Doncaster East. They should have been well in front into that second quarter. So I think in the start of this third quarter, it's going to be just hitting the scoreboard, because they really should be. This game could be ice now if they had a kick straight when they had the chances.
I think, though, that I think probably the thing that would worry most Doncaster people is if Doncaster East came out and probably kicked the opening 2 goals very, very quickly, that might just set Doncaster back a little bit, because I think they're a little bit worried about their fitness levels around the ground. I think it's been quite evident at certain stages as well.
And that's been the difference, Gav, a lot. The speed from Doncaster East when they've got the ball, the way they move it compared to Doncaster, who've been a bit slower.
Yeah, and they've got an ascendancy. Rowe knows the ball's coming to him. Heath at half forward pushing up to the ground as well into the contest, being one of the best. Lock is being impressive. Shalakis is always around. DeLuca, if he can put the ball to his boot, is been playing okay.
Yeah, of course, not many AFL players miss the boot, but I guess it looks like DeLuca's actually, is he rucking? He's just outside the circle, but back in the middle we go, Gav?
So it's again Ollie going forward with the tap, so that was well done, but Doncaster East do run onto it in the hand. Carlson, who's a strong player, as they kick to the pavilion end this time. Doncaster got a bit of a second-term run on to close the gap to within 9 points. But since then, Donny East just steadied the ship in terms of the scoreboard, kicked out with 2 late goals. Nearly had a very late one, but Magana stood up. A gap will be great around the contest. And a nice little spoon volley, a ball style by Doncaster East player, but it didn't work because the ball was smothered down nicely by Giacob. And it's again Spencer against Ollie. Spencer uses his height, weight advantage to knock it down, but there's numbers around the contest for the Lions. Quick kick out there by Green. High up and under is bouncing 2 different directions, so it might come back towards Green. Spears the hand pass off to running Appleby through centre forward. Shalakis running back towards goal. Got 2 to beat. Ground level it goes after the punch, and Shalakis can't get onto it.
That's a couple of times. Spoke about holding their width in the second quarter. Doncaster don't do it. A couple of times they had 3-on-1, but the Doncaster East player gets a handball at the top and they're out. And same thing there. One, the slap back into the corridor from the Doncaster defender, and Appleby just had all that space in the corridor, Gav.
Again, Rogo Spencer just spins him around in the contest, gets onto the ball, and he's able to share it out. So Doncaster go from the width of the ground too wide as it hits the fence. The clearing kick to the running teammate has gone too wide, and it nearly hit Brett Beston on the head, and we'll go for some comment there.
Boys, just a word from the Doncaster East camp. They were just a little bit concerned about the little period they had just before halftime, and they just let things go a little bit. Of course, a couple of quick goals for Doncaster, and they just want to basically keep the focus, keep things going. Relatively happy with the game, but it was just a question of that little lapse they had before halftime, so they just want the concentration to be kept up. Steve White was over at the Doncaster huddle.
No, I wasn't.
So Saravolo got the short ball into Scala.
Okay, he wasn't.
Besto's in the room. That's how close he's going on the boundary line. Lovely stuff. After having a couple of party pies as well, he just wandered his way through.
I can make up the Doncaster halftime message.
It's roaming Brett.
Exactly. So Daniel Scala, who took back from the Saravolo inboard. Scala's he's been around it. 1 goal, 3 today. So had plenty of it and plenty of opportunities. Been impressive. He'll kick from just outside the arc. Don't know if he's got the journey. Good looking kick off the boot. Wow. Oh, it made me look like a fool. To quote Brad Henderson, bang, straight through the middle. Scalia gets his second. And Doncaster East jump out 7-12-54. Doncaster 4-2-26. 2.5 minutes gone in this third term, and it looks like the second half is going to carry on much like the first, gents.
Well, that's exactly what Doncaster East want. They wanted to come out after half-time and put a little more scoreboard pressure on Doncaster to see if they can crack. The opening 5 minutes of this third quarter is probably going to decide the game here, because if Doncaster are going to get back into the contest, they need to make their mark now.
Well, you just worry in the next 5 minutes, if they do allow a couple more goals, this could blow out.
Ollie got that big jump that Ryan James was talking about, but ended up in the hands of Giacobi, and then he might be going on the ball because he got out of the tackle, stopped, he was just amazed that he got out of it. Gavin forgot that there might be someone else coming for him, and DeLuca will get the free kick. Been impressive, DeLuca. You can see that talent and potential that got him all the way to the top as he goes inside forward 50. And I reckon he's still got a bit more hiding up there somewhere. Long ball, got out the back almost onto the chest of Lock. He dropped the mark, and now the Sharks can come away. But, Nick Coman. Nick Coman. What is he doing there? Haswell, it looks like it might have wrapped him up. Or is it Scala again? No, it's Jimmy Appleby. Sorry, third time's the charm. Nick Coman, I'm just so transfixed. He's just running away. Didn't see him out the side of his eye there. And wrapped up 30 metres out directly in front just when they were out.
These are the things that coaches, they love these. They love this sort of work from their captains, leading from the front, tackling hard, winning free kicks, and now obviously
kicking for goal. Brash as Appleby comes in 30 metres out directly in front. That one's dead straight. It's got the Bruce. Thumbs up of approval, Gav. Doncaster East 8-12-60, jump out to a 34-point lead. This feels like more of the margin that they deserve. 4 minutes gone, third term.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way, Matt. And the thing is, the thing that Doncaster East have gone back to is in the ruck, where if they're not winning it, all of a sudden they're laying those heavy tackles that are winning them the free kicks to give them the opportunity to get the ball forward again.
I think Appleby's probably been their most damaging midfielder too. Obviously, what he's been able to do getting the ball, but also his defensive pressure.
Spencer just went the punch, got it to centre forward. Vickers drops it in the harassment of the tackle, so it flies out towards Ollie, who gives it to Ryan. Ryan's running through the middle as Ollie's been fouled. And is that a send-off potential? As here comes the card. It was so behind the ball. Ollie had already given it a hand pass off, and Carlson being we won't go.
He's definitely the I think he's the player of attention. That was definitely Carlson. I don't know whether they've carded, though.
Well, he reached to the back pockets. Not sure why he didn't, because
he was just fixing his britches, Gavin.
Oh, fair enough. He's well tucked in now, is the umpire, as it's now in the hands of Simon White, and he goes short to the man who was fouled. And yes, he's still going okay, Ollie, as the kick was not an up, it was an up and under that missed the target. So Doncaster might be able to share it their way out of defence, going wide towards Jamo and Hendon. Hendon's got it in his grasp, but he spills it under a heap of pressure. So his hand pass to where he thought Coughlin was didn't suit him. Simon White runs onto it on the wing, kicks it long and inside to the 50. Scala's going to run under it, but he's getting harassed by Overton. And Scala picks up the ball and he jumps the fence. He didn't mean to. He just did.
I think he got a little shove if we watch the replay from Overton.
Boundary.
As we go down boundary side to Steve up. Hoybert, here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, down to you, Steve.
So, no, Carlson looks like he's been dragged after that. Elbow was pretty much above shoulder height, I'd say.
So a club-regulated yellow card there for Carlson as we throw it in. Defensive 50 for Doncaster. Spencer got the hit out. Hoyverden, who pushed Scala over the fence and got away with it, gets the kick down the line. Simon White's underneath it. Well done by Hendon. Sport it back into the corridor, and it might work out for the Sharks. Gordon has to sit and wait for it. It beat him on the bounce, and here comes Vickers. He pick it up. He's speedy. Well done, Mitchell Ryan. Came across. If he takes it over the line, he'll take that. I think he's kept it in, though. Umpire might ping him, and she has. So Mitchell Ryan, he had to take it over. That's inexperience.
Yeah, inexperience right there.
So Vickers did well in the end. He's ditched the long sleeves today, such is the weather. He's about 60 from home. He's going to go low to the pocket, looking for Van der Haar out the back. And coming across, Tom Gordon takes the intercept mark and plays on immediately, but it'll be 50 metres or 25. Because Hendon didn't come back to the regulation top of the goal square for standing the mark.
He was lucky there, Tommy Gordon. He took that a little bit too easy.
But he knew there shouldn't have been a defender to smother the ball off his kick. So that's fair enough. And the umpire due diligence was right. Short kick is into an open corridor where Ryan's going, did I just take a chest mark with no one around me about 10 metres space? Yes, I did, as he kicks it long to DeLuca. Now the bouncing ball falls the way of the running player in Stoneham. Stoneham dribbles his kick into the forward line, doesn't suit the forward. Scala gets on the end of it as it rushed to him, and he's tackled as he tries the hand pass, so it is a throw because he can't get a proper fist. Stoneham, a dribbler on the left as Scala led up to it. Then he's been tackled nicely by Coman. And Coman got the free kick for throw against, but we're disputing that in the call, are we?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was a bit stiff. I've seen them paid. But that might be in the big leagues. As Jack Marn's got the mark, centre half back. Got it from Rambaldi. So he's going to go out in the Spencer direction. They're just kicking it. He's done well to bring it to ground, but Doncaster East know that plan is Coughlin. Been really impressive for the Sharks despite that dodgy left ankle. Goes down the line. Van der Haar was giving away a lot of time and space to Haswell. And his nice little chippy ball finds Ollie. So their ball movement's just so much more creative for the Lions as he goes out wide, looking for the runner in Simon White. You can almost have the journey from here. He's about 55 from home. He's got Rowe in the goal square. He's got a lead in lock. Ignores him.
I think he'll take it.
I think he's doing. He might not have the leg anymore as he goes short inboard. Vickers was pressing, but it gets its way to Jackson Green.
He was doing a bit of rave dancing with his finger movements there.
That's how I dance. Keep it simple. So Jackson Green's about 60 from home.
Centre of the square, mate.
Shalakis was the other lead, but he goes to Rowe. And once again, that's too easy. Doncaster East, for about the 19th time today, have led to about 30 metres out and taken an uncontested mark.
Not once has a Doncaster defender got in front of him. Then that
you sounded exhausted when you said that.
I was going to say he's just woken up.
It's odd that they haven't made any sort of changes. Yeah, 3 quarters in.
And I think Mark Jamo's trying to instruct people, but he's all the way down here at full forward. So Sam Rowe, he's kicked just the one today, lining up for his second from just inside the arc. Slide angle, good connection off the boot. He loves it.
That is
They've got their kicking boots on in the second half, Gav. 9-12-66, 40-point leaders over Doncaster 4-2-26.
So after comments now, we'll get the
Round the ground score.
Round the grounds with a Premier Division score here, and it's halftime. Rowville versus North Ringwood, 9-9-63 to North Ringwood, 4-5-29. And if we're looking for a closer game, look no further than the second division matchup between East Burwood and Mulgrave, 8-5-53 to 7-7-49. East Burwood up by 4 in that one.
See if you can find a Norwood-Vermont score.
Why do you care?
I do care.
Because he heard it was 40 points at quarter time, Gav.
It's just come up for me, Brash. So it's Vermont 6-5-41 to Norwood 8-6-54. So Vermont very much fighting back in that one.
Very interesting.
No, it was 40 points to 2 at one stage.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is a bit of a blowout now, but Anarka's hoping to get out of the middle. He's tackled as he tries to beat one. No holding the ball decision. Locke couldn't kick it off the ground, so the bounce of the ball suits the Sharks. Out wide they go, where the leading option was Santoro for Donny East. He runs on it at half back. He kicks a long ball down the left flank, and he goes from all the way from the defence to the forward line, but the boundary line is too narrow for him, and it's out of bounds.
Ryan, I've got to say, Doncaster's disposal throughout the afternoon has been poor.
It's been poor. And Doncaster East defenders have been able to run off their men quite easily, as you just saw there. There just hasn't been any accountability on either end, really.
No. 68 turnovers last week, the Sharks, and they'll be pushing that number again this week because there's a free kick in the ruck contest. I never understand these. Never even when umpire gabbed in, and Mark Jamar's got the free, he probably should get 25. Because
when did you umpire? I can't remember.
I umpired senior footy in about 2016, 2017, but Jamar gives the handball off now. He should have got 25 because James Locke missed him by about 15 metres with the handball back. But they go down the line. Vincini's been swung forward. DeLuca with nice hops. Hovered above the pack and started a handball chain that's ended up with Santoro. He goes inside forward 50. Who's the target down there? It looks like Phelan. It'll get out back to Scala. Little right foot snap is a goal. It's a procession now. That's a Tobin Brothers goal of the day contender. The Lions 10-12-72 lead Doncaster 4-2-26. He's got 2 in the quarter and 3 for the game. On the Bendigo Bank scoreboard, Wayne Brasher, Ryan Long.
He's been very impressive today, Scala. It's some of the younger brigade of Doncaster have led the team this afternoon. We expect Rowe and Phelan, but some of these young guys, Ryan, have really stepped up.
Yeah, and that's probably the difference with the last time we saw him play, where Rowe was the focal figure and that was it. But now they've got so many other options. Obviously, Scala there. Phelan's been good too up forward, so they're not going to rely on anyone this year. They've got plenty of options, and that makes them a lot more dangerous side going forward when they play some higher quality opposition.
Again, Donny, you've got some advantage in the ruck. Jamar can't jump, but he did have a big body to get around. He won the tap, but it's straight down into the centre circle again, and we'll have a secondary ball up.
Gave that tackling pressure of James Appleby is ferocious in the midfield.
And there's going to be a free kick in the ruck contest because Jamar was said to be shepherd out row. The bigger boy shepherding out. Interesting call, but it will be going the way of Donny East. Long kick to half forward. Drop ball by Smith. Gets Doncaster into trouble, but they might be able to run it out. Short pass hits up Coughlin in defence, and he's been steady. And we thought he was done for the day when he had that ankle immobilised in the early in the second term.
Amazing what a bit of jungle juice can do for your ankle.
He's probably been their best player too, Gav.
I'll have a little bit of that later. And as we go wider from right to left flank, they might run themselves into trouble, Donny, and they do. Tweedy just was like, what do I do next? I run, and then I get my hand pass smothered. So again, it's out of bounds.
That is just symptomatic of Doncaster's day, really. Their disposal to their own kind has just killed them.
Yeah, turnovers once again. And I think if you look the other way, Doncaster's ball movement, they're just cutting them apart.
But is it like Doncaster don't have the second option making room for the kicker or hand passer?
Like you're saying, there's no movement, isn't there? Like there's no one running past. There's no real flow or wave to their movement, isn't it?
And now all of a sudden they're just giving away silly free kicks here, Doncaster. They're really getting frustrated.
Well, Jamar's taller than Rowe. Rowe got under his shoulder height by slipping, and then the fend off to know where he was. Jamar's given over the shoulder, so you can see why he's frustrated. Then the push off comes in, and a 25-metre advances Rowe within kicking distance.
Well, that's the thing. Giving away the free kicks one, but then causing a 25-metre penalty is another thing.
So Rowe, he's got his kicking boots on in this second half, as do the Lions. They've been very accurate this one. Coming in for his second of the quarter, third of the day. It looked good off the boot, but I think it's gone way left. Beautiful kick that'll go down the hill onto the second ground, and we'll have a bit of respite. It's the Lions 10-13-73, leading Doncaster 4-2-26 as we go to the score centre with Jared Beaman.
A couple of Division 1 scores here. It looks like Upper Ferntree Gully putting up a good fight against Wantirna South, 6-1-37 to the Devils, 7-2-44, and Croydon keeping pace with East Ringwood, 4-4-28 to the Roos, 5-3-33.
Ball comes in from the Sharks. Nice kick out wide. So they've found a target out here in Rambaldi. And now Rambaldi is going to go down the line. This is where it's falling down. Van Haar made a contest, so it's going to work out in the end for the Sharks, but I don't know if it's something you repeat. As Van Haar gets a second handball to Vickers. Jamar's in the goal square by himself. If we can get it to him, good kick. Jamar a mark, and he wanted to play on, but Gav, that lack of speed was in the back of his head, and he thought, I'll go back and have a set shot.
It's probably their best piece of play for the day.
And I still don't think you can repeat it because it relied on Van Haar winning a 1v2. You can't rely on that. And whereas Doncaster East is a very repeatable process, whereas Doncaster, like I've said, they're relying on a knock-on. And look, they've got talented players, as Vickers showed there. As Jamar comes in, he shouldn't miss from directly in front. He's made the goal umpire work, but I
reckon he's missed it.
I think some AFL experience has made that one straighten up, Brash, somehow. So Mark Jamar's got his second. Doncaster 5-2-32.
You kick it high, the posts aren't high enough for him to doubt it.
That's experience, isn't it, Gav? Can't buy it. Jamar's got his second.
A couple of Division 2 scores here. South Belgrave fighting back against Templestowe. You wouldn't expect to say that at the start of the day. Templestowe 5-3-33 to South Belgrave 3-4-22. And it's a tug of war at Batterham Reserve with the Basin 6-8-44 against Baronia 6-5-41.
Yeah, some good games going on around the eastern suburbs, Gav. Unfortunately, this one, it's 41 points, but that's Doncaster East have found their kicking boots, fortunately, for them in the second half, and that's what's blown it out.
Well, all that run-on play and open possession going forward is going to turn into a better look at goal, and eventually it was going to come that there would be shots going through the middle of the goals. The first 7 shots being minor scores makes the scoreboard look slightly ugly early, but again, they get out of a contest in the middle, and it's DeLuca again. Long ball, loads up, kick drops into the hot spot where Phelan was running with to the flight, and his defender was coming the other way. And I think that was McGarnis putting on pressure, and he did well just to intervene and then hold it up in a tackle.
Yeah, Phelan got up off the ground there. He looked a bit proppy.
So Ruxer Spencer Rowe did some good body work this time, tapped it towards where there was a heap of players. But this is a representative of the Lions. 2 tacklers on Smith there as he hands the ball over. That's the intensity around the contest for the Lions. Rowe again using good body position. Spencer might be tiring as this third quarter goes on. The ball drifts to the pocket. And Beth get picked up, throws to the goal line. It might be the holding a ball against the player on the ground, but he's been tackled too ferociously, and I think Heath's going to pick himself up with a free kick.
Yeah, I thought he should just stop the play because he looks like he's just been flattened here.
Yeah, it's the late bump as he lost it in the tackle. Heath was still wandering his way towards the goal line, almost trying to do a rugby try, but then he gets hit with a bump that he didn't see coming. So it's going to be a free kick to Heath, and Heath will line up for his second goal. And it's just, if you've got the ball and you're the man making the play, you deserve a free kick.
Yep, exactly right. If you're making the play, then you deserve the rewards.
So Heath from 10 metres out, doesn't miss, and the scoreboard's looking very pretty now for Doncaster East. 18 minutes gone third term. Doncaster East 11-13-79. They lead Doncaster 5-2-32. Big margin on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard.
Definitely deserved another one. He worked really hard, especially in that first half and that first quarter when Doncaster East was starting to get the ball out of the middle. And he was a target up on that half-forward flank, and it's good to see him start actually capitalise on that and kick a couple of goals on the board.
He's been one of the front runners for the Player of the Day, brought to you by Eastland, of course, Brash. But even in that first quarter, he got a lot of the footy. Like, he had a lot of shots, but was also getting the footy around the ground as well. So he's another one. They've got some powerful midfielders too. Like you said, Appleby's tackling pressure is great, Brash, but DeLuca's quite tall. You know, if you walk past him in the street, you wouldn't think, oh, there's a midfielder. Phelan can obviously play through the middle. And then someone like Heath's done a little bit of work around the ground in the midfield. So they're strong and tall around the ground. And I can see what Ryan James is trying to do as they go up in the middle again. Spencer and Ollie, there's a free kick, and it's going the way of Doncaster. So the free kick's going to Hendon. There was a bit of confusion initially. Hendon wants a free kick, gave the handball off to Marn. Long ball inside forward 50. Vanderhaar, Spencer, Anarchis, they're all down there. Ball gets to the back. Big mark, J-Mark. Couldn't quite get there. Tried to put the afterburners on. Couldn't do so. And we'll have a ball in 25 metres out from the Doncaster goal.
You'd almost think, Matt, one of those, DeLuca or Hendon were going to get that free kick because there was both niggle in that centre there. Either one was going to get that free kick. The umpire was determined.
So Spencer missed the ball, and then he went back and got it. Now he wants a piece of Jackson Green. He looks angry, Jake Spencer, and he's worked so hard, and obviously his teammates haven't come with him. 47-point differential at the moment. Ollie worked past him, did really well. Hit out. Milford Robertson was there to gather it, and we'll have another stoppage. And it'll just be interesting to see how the setup looks around this stoppage, Ryan, to see if Doncaster can get some width, because it looks just so close to Spencer. As he wins another hit out, and Appleby came through, took on the tackler, and Arcus might want a free kick. Umpire says ball up.
And all he has to do is just make a contest, and because Doncaster, the midfielders around the ball are just rucking to Spencer when he gets it.
So Spencer took it out of the ruck there. Little dribble kick will make its way towards J-Mar. And then Vanderhaar came around it as well. Ends up with the footy. Tried to get a free kick for high, but the umpire says you ducked your head, so give it to me. So ball up directly in front of the Sharks' goal. They trail by 47 points as we tick into time on in this third term. Gordon took on a couple of tacklers, and we'll have a repeat stoppage. But once again, I'm just looking at this like there's no width from Doncaster. There's no room for them to create a running path as the ball hits the deck. Gordon, tackled by Anarchis, and we'll have another stoppage.
It's almost like, Matt, their first instinct is contested possession. Let's block it up.
But they're not making any paths. Marn tries to bullock his way through. Anarchis will want a free kick holding the ball. Nothing doing. Green clears his lines. It'll bounce just inside the field of play and go over. Is the umpire going to give deliberate? No, give a ball in. I just think they're like someone like Vickers is the danger player. He's quick, he's crafty, but no one's working to help him run through. It's just Spencer taps it down, someone grabs it, gets tackled, and eventually, as Ryan's saying, the Donny East midfield win out and get a clearance. So we'll go again, this time just outside the Sharks, forward 50. Marn will get the ball inside forward 50 though. Ryan, will he take the mark? He will. Umpire says it went far enough. So Mitchell Ryan with the headband, one of the youngsters in this line side, immediately switches it to Whitling, half-back flank, and the runner is on. He gives it over the top to Haswell. Another recruit who's been impressive. Nicely weighted kick out in front of Sam Rose. Worked up the ground to take this mark. He'll pop it over the top to Shalakis. Malloy will be there to make him work for it. Shalakis does well. Got rid of him. Got the handball over the top. Appleby stood up in the tackle. Got his handball towards Whitling. He let it go through to Green. He dropped the footy and umpire says holding the ball. And the Sharks will get some respite on right half back. And they don't want to give away a reversal. I think they have though. There's a reversal. And this is just bad to worse for Doncaster Sharks here. It seems like every time they get a free kick, they do something to either turn it over or give a reversal. And now, after all of that, I think Jackson Green's going to have a shot from just outside 50.
Just another thing, the lead up to that play, what would be so disappointing if I was at Doncaster is that Haswell had about 20, 30 metres to run into that and no one went with him.
And he's been playing fullback back pocket. Yeah. He worked for 50 metres to get that handball.
And I think there's a lot to say about the effort comparing the two sides.
So Green, to really maybe start the party for Doncaster East. This will put it well beyond doubt, you would have thought. He's got really close to the man on the mark, runs to just outside the arc, made good connection, but it's across the face. And through for one behind. Doncaster East 11-14-80. Lead Doncaster 5-2-32 on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. 22 and a half minutes gone. Third quarter, Eastland match of the day here in the Eastern Football Netball League.
It's in the hands of Rambaldi at fullback as he looks at all options. This time he's gone left to Marn on the lead, and Marn takes a nice, easy mark, 40 metres out from his goal, short to Hendon. So they're keeping it in hand nicely, Doncaster. A bit of tempo footy, but the umpire's rushed them because he says play on. So they'll have to spread it out of defence. Thiel gets a hand pass off. They're trying to run it out of defence. The Sharks, they haven't had much success in that today. Anarchis, good experience. He pushed off his opponent, Santoro, takes the mark in the secondary position. His kick was rushed at the back. J-Mar eventually gets to the contest. Gordon dropped it about 3 times before he saw some pressure, but eventually J-Mar did some good body work and the Rovers come in to cause the ball up.
It's the only way you sort of see J-Mar kicking goal is when he's back here by himself, because
when they're moving it quick, it works, doesn't it, Ryan? Like, they haven't been moving it quick.
Spencer, nearly the Rover that kicks the goal from the ruck contest. He took it on the run. He came late to the contest and he ran around the pack, but eventually he was like, well, where do I go next? And as he tried to put the ball in the boot, it was smothered.
But they handballed their way through the corridor, and yes, it was under pressure, but at least there was some pace, so the Doncaster East lines couldn't set up behind the ball. And yes, that's how J-Mar's going to kick goals, from being out the back.
Nicely done by Ryan. Tapped it away from his opponent, then runs onto it, hooks it around from the left boundary boundary side into the corridor where Locke puts his body over the bouncing ball and over the shoulder. He gets a free kick. Reward for body work there. As running on, here goes Donny East, but late comes in Malloy just to be the spoiler, but it's on the bounce. And here go Donny East through Whitling. He's transfers his way through Doncaster, and he goes all the way backwards because he knows he's got Appleby at centre forward. You're going to have a shot from 50.
Put that shot down a goal to the piece of play there by young Mitch Ryan. Committed to the contest, got the ball, and set up. It wasn't a setup, but he worked hard for his team, Gav, to get that simple opportunity out of that back line.
So Appleby just knows when to defend and when to attack, and when he attacks, he finds some room. And for the turn back pass to find him all on his own 50 metres out. It's close to the left post. It's bending. The goal umpire is going to come back to the middle of the goals and signal.
One behind.
He did you there, Gav. That's beautiful goal umpiring. He's absolutely
He didn't come back to the centre of it. And also, if I could get Malloy to move out of the way, I would have seen what was going on.
Always jeopardy. So Rambaldi will bring it back in for the Sharks out in the Spencer direction. Big fly from Rowe at the back. Spencer got his hands to it. Appleby, once again, Locke. Some ever-present names from today's contest. Handball over the top. They're just toying with them now. Appleby drove his head through there, and the umpire says, hi. I could have seen that maybe been giving Holden the ball because he lowered his head, but James Appleby, you can't question his effort today, and he'll have another shot from a pretty similar position to go back and make this margin almost 60 points.
Ryan James made him captain this year, James Appleby, and I think that the title actually is suiting him just fine because he has led from the front all afternoon. He's been sensational.
So Appleby will kick from, like we said, pretty similar spot to just before where he just missed to the left. So he might just adjust his radar. Comes in just inside the paint, 45-degree angle. He started at left, and this one was even worse.
He's obsessed with that end.
Left. They're all obsessed with that left-hand side of that end. So it's 11-16-82. 50 points the margin. Doncaster 5-2-32. We're late into time on here in the third term on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard there out here at Shram Reserve. We've got to thank Doncaster Football Club, though. It's been quite the event they've put on for us. Of course, the ceremony at the start of the day, the lunch, was quite enjoyable. As they bring it back into play, Mahon makes a contest. Other than his yellow card, he's probably been one of the Sharks' best. As looked like it was that Jones Hughes riding the Doncaster player there. As we have a ball up. Up they go again. Spencer and Rowe. Rowe did well. Mahon was around it, slipped through his fingers, and then Appleby got it to the top of the goal square. Scala was around it. He's loved a goal today. Kicked three of them. Here they go. Coleman into the corridor. Can the mark be taken? No, it can't, but the handball will come over the top from Barassi. Been pretty quiet. Got it back to Coleman. Wants his right boot. Wasn't Coleman, sorry. It was Thiel. Thiel got it back into the middle. Here we go. Oh, they had four Sharks in the middle, Gavin. He picked out the one line in lock.
Yeah, well, you'd lock him up for that mistake, I reckon, as the kick goes short to Mitchell Ryan. We try to work some humour into the call, and there's some humour, unfortunately, for Donny East missing the target. Hendon leaves it behind, so he's trying to get some help from Giacob. They're really mecking around, but they don't have anywhere to go, Doncaster. Now the up and under to half forward has 3v1, and of course Rowe's going to take the mark as the big... He does the shadow kick. He's about to kick it, goes, that's going to get smothered. I'll drop it, and then I'll pick up again, hand pass it off, and they're off and racing now at Donny East. They go a different direction because of the late change from Sam Rowe, but the mark's been chopped off and set half back, and there's a push in the back, would you believe?
Oh, man,
so Scala's going to take a free kick at 50 metres out, and we didn't see that coming.
Well, what a minute you had there, Gav. You had turnovers, witty puns, blokes forgetting to kick the ball again. There's AFL experience. Maybe we're missing a trick.
Well, maybe go behind your mark before you decide to kick it. But it's Scala with it. He's an impressive player. I'm a big fan of Shalakis, and he's just got a bit of Shalakis-esque play in him.
He's got 3-3 before this.
If he kicks his Scala, this will be the Tobin Brothers goal of the day, I reckon.
Well, the umpire paid a push in the back to him as he got underneath the marking contest. So from 50 metres out, he trots his way to the outer end of Shram's Reserve. It's close to the right post. It misses, and it's another minor score. Three-quarter time here at Shram's Reserve. Round 2, local derby. Doncaster 5-2-32, but they're trailing Doncaster East 11-17-83.
Today at Eastland, Lucy's trying on jeans for a momentous occasion. Coffee with the ex. She needs jeans she can move in because she's definitely moved on. Jeans that get a second look, but don't give any second chances. Jeans that say, well, yes, I have spent the last 8 months in a post-breakup juice cleansing, kickboxing, personal training frenzy. And it looks as though she's just found the perfect pair. Bravo, Lucy. For all of life's little moments, there's Eastland. Eastland. Live real.
Sprained your ankle bursting through the banner? Broke a finger high-fiving the ruckman? Or did you run into the goal post again? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. The preferred provider of emergency care to the Eastern Football Netball League, you'll generally experience shorter wait times. You don't need private health, but there is an out-of-pocket fee. Be seen sooner close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
Do you feel good about your bank? Because there is a bank you can feel good about. They share their profits to fund big community projects, small community clubs, and vital emergency services. They've given $250 million to help Australian communities thrive. They have all the products and tech you expect from a big bank, with service you don't. It's Bendigo Bank. Feel good about who you bank with. Try Bendigo. Search bendigobank.com.au or search Bendigo Bank near me.
Running and jumping can be really painful for girls, especially in contact sport. Boob Armour supports your breasts, minimises the bounce and guards against impact and injury. Feel confident, feel supported, available at boobarmour.com.au.
There are only 3 things that should be flushed down your toilet: pee, poo, and paper. Some wet wipes and antibacterial wipes say that you can flush them, but you can't. They clog up the toilet and pipes, causing expensive blockages. Save yourself a truckload of trouble. Put your wet wipes in the bin. To learn more, head to the Yarra Valley Water website, yvw.com.au/wet-wipes.
How would you like to be celebrated?
I think I'd like to be celebrated with lots of music, dancing, a bit of a party.
I'd like to be celebrated at the pub with a few frothies.
Maybe some colourful balloons, my favourite flowers. How about some glitter?
I'd like to be celebrated in space.
Outdoors, having all my family and friends together.
At Tobin Brothers Funerals, they know that every life is unique and they think that every celebration should be too. Find out more at tobinbrothers.com.au. Tobin Brothers Funerals, celebrating lives.
Sprained your ankle bursting through the banner? For bumps, breaks or bleeds, be seen sooner close to home at Knox Private 24/7 Emergency Department. You'll generally experience shorter wait times. Knox Private 24/7 Emergency, 262 Mountain Highway, Wanturna.
EFL Saturday Game Day continues. Let's head back and go local for your footy.
Welcome back to Shram's Reserve, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Doncaster Derby on Eastland EFL Match of the Round on SEN App Eastern FM 98.1, Facebook and YouTube. And at three-quarter time, it's the Lions, 11-17-83, leading the Sharks 5-2-32. The goal kickers for the Lions, Daniel Scully's got 3 goals, 3. He's been pretty impressive all day. 3 goals, 4. There's 2 goals to Samuel Rowe, a single to James Appleby, and also goal kickers. That's Dylan Heath's got 2 and Chris Phelan's got 3. There you go. Bit of a messy handwriting on my end. And then for Doncaster, 2 to Mark Jamar, 1 to Kane Hendon, 1 to Jack Mahon, and 1 to Cole Vickers. Wayne Brasher and Ryan Long have been our special comments duo all day. Gents, I think it's easy probably to point out the negatives for Doncaster. You know, they're getting stuck to the ball. They're probably not as fit as their opponents, and they haven't been able to adapt to the way the Lions are moving the ball. But let's talk about the positives from Doncaster East. Ryan James spoke about the way they want to structure up forward. They don't want to just dump kick. They haven't dump kicked today. They've been pretty exact when they're trying to hit a target. And then also they've got, you know, I've listed 8 or 9 goal kickers there, and all of them have had a lot of shots.
Well, yeah. Sorry, Brash. Yeah, that's exactly right. They've been able to the short kicks inside forward 50 that have been able to hit targets. Their forwards have been so good on the lead. They've just been able to create space in that forward line. The only thing, you know, I mean, obviously 11-17 could easily be 17-11. But just their ball movement, and I just the star-studded midfield. I mean, you look at Appleby. Green probably hasn't had a massive influence today yet. Doesn't really need to. I really like Heath. Heath coming up on the. I think he's played up sort of more of it like half forward.
2 first names always get you on.
Yeah, so I thought he's been pretty impressive, and they've just been real dominant. They had about 10 minutes where Ryan James would have probably been a bit disappointed in the second quarter, but other than that, they've just been on top in every area of the game.
I think another player that I think Ryan James will be happy to see run back into a little bit of form is Sam Rowe, especially in the fact that it brought him onto the ball into that third quarter, and he just started to manage to work his way into the contest. Let's go boundary side.
Thanks, Brasher. Just a message from the Donny East huddle, and I'm pretty happy, obviously, with the situation. They've got the game well under control, but Ryan just said he wants the boys to continue to make Doncaster defend one-on-one. He wants them to own the midfield, and the big thing is just to finish off the game, even though the score is blown out to a 10-goal margin. He wants them to keep going right till the very end.
Well, I think percentage is going to come into it this year, Brash, in the Premier Division, such for that last final spot, that sixth spot, or even fifth or so on. So that's definitely a smart move from Ryan James. And, yeah, defending one-on-one, and the way they do that is the way they move the ball quickly and they use the whole width of the ground. So you can't, as a team defence, that's how you separate them. If a defence is really compact, you've got to keep moving the ball side to side, stretch them out and isolate that one-on-one as we go down to Steve White.
Yeah, look, Chris Anarkis understandably upset about the performance there in that third quarter. He was just saying that they didn't respond the way, they didn't hold themselves accountable. So he's looking for at least some effort going into this quarter to go into the changes with their head held high.
Steve, is he putting it down all to effort there, or is there some tactical things that he thought they could do better?
Yeah, he just basically said that there's no real effort and no real drive and no real spirit. It seems like 5 minutes into that third quarter, so he's looking just for some more drive from the players.
Well, thank you very much to Steve and Besto. Done some great job down there on the boundary line. Gav, what are you hoping for? Can you see Doncaster piling on 9 or 10 goals unanswered?
No, but at least they can bring it the scoreboard a bit more respectability and play it that they can actually be very dangerous going forward. They've just got to get some numbers around the contest and then forward of the ball as well. At boundary, it's back in the middle as Shrams reserve. Doncaster, the home side, win the free kick, and it's Malloy getting it over the shoulder, hands it off to Coughlin. He's been running good, even though he had a twisted ankle maybe for a little bit there in the second term. Ground level ball, nearly road. Vickers bounces off his opponent as Haswell dealt with him, and the ball bounced off hands and out of bounds in the forward pocket for Doncaster.
I might have tried a little experiment to get Vickers in the game. I might have put him in the midfield, give him a chance to use his speed and creativity, I reckon.
Even half-back, he's a good ball user.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily have to play on the ball, but, yeah, get him where the ball is as it's thrown in deep in the Sharks forward line. And we'll have another stoppage. So, Jamar going up against Tom Gordon. Tom Gordon done a fabulous job, of course, after last year's horrific injury. It's just great to see him back out there. Simon White roved that beautifully, got the handball off to Appleby. And then Appleby off the side of the boot, and Spencer gobbles it up. So this is probably the first time he's taken an intercept mark today, Jake Spencer. And he'll go back to where it came from. He's looking for Vanderhaar. He's in the back position, and he's going to give away a free kick, even if he didn't have the mark taken by Connor Haswell.
That's a good mark by Haswell,
isn't it? Handball to White, short to Heath. So this is that play that they've been talking about. They want to be a bit more purposeful with their ball use, and there'll be another free kick off the ball wheel there. It's Carlson is just knocking Doncaster East players all over the shop. And now there's going to be a 25-metre penalty. Get him off the ground and drop him to the twos, to be honest. That's pretty disgusting. You're down by, 51 points. You got away with the first one because the umpire said play on, get up. And then the second bloke comes in, you put him down as well. Like, you got to feel bad for Chris Anarkis there, Brash, because what can he do? He wants them to give effort, and blokes are just walking around flattening people.
It's the last thing you want to do right now when you're that far behind. And it just looks like he's almost a lack of effort. He's given that. It's it's 5 p.m. already.
Ryan shared it with Haswell, and they're just taking their time now. It's a bit easy for Donny East, but the kick might have bit off more than it can chew. And Santoro, though, does fetch it, and he runs around, gives it to Gordon, who shares it out wider. And they're just possession tempo footy now as it's in the hands of Green for Doncaster East. Outer wing, as the scoreboard's very good reading for them. Doncaster East 11-17-83, leading by 51 points over Doncaster 5-2-32. And White gets on the end of a short pass. His pass won't miss the target, and he hits up Heath, who's been a great player today. Heath now from the left half-back goes to right half-back, and it'll be another mark with some pressure on Jones, but he took a mark earlier in this possession of possession. In terms, it's just really circle work for Doncaster East.
They've had 30 possessions with gainage of 15 yards, Gav.
Well, they're playing out the 30, but Locke now picks it up off a touch ball, so they'll try to work it through the middle. Inject some pace through Appleby. Appleby goes to left flank, but coming in and coming off his opponent. Well done by Tweedy, who took the risk, and he was awarded with a mark in front.
He's tried hard.
So he goes short and finds Hendon, who, again, when he's got the foot, he's shown a bit, but hasn't got enough of it. Nice looking kick out in front of Vickers.
Oh.
Has he done well to pluck it? They're going to pay the mark to the man in front.
It has to be Ryan's because
I reckon Ryan's got 60% of that, but the man in front
80.
got Vickers over the line, so he plays on immediately. Goes long inside forward 50. Spencer's the target. Vanderhaar flew, and in the end, Ollie came across and spoiled. Picking up his Haswell, but there's going to be a free kick for holding the man, and it's going to go the way of Todd Vanderhaar. He's been pretty quiet today, but he looks like he might have a shot at goal here. He's, 45-degree angle in that far right forward pocket at Shram's reserve, and he'll kick from about 35, 40 metres to bring this margin back to 45 points.
It's been a good little clash, that Ryan and Vickers contest. Two young blokes going at it. I think Ryan's taken the points, though.
Vanderhaar comes in, couple of steps, kick, looked pretty good off the boot. I think it's started into the woodwork there. No, just slid across the face, so one behind.
No, it did hit the post.
5-3-33 Doncaster. Doncaster East 11-17-83 as we go to Score Centre with Jared Beanland.
And just quickly, Donvale have slammed on 5 goals straight to take the lead against Warrandyte. That's 9-4-58 against 5-10-40.
1 and 2 start for the Bloods, if that's the go there, Gav.
That's interesting. But Donny East, they're just playing possession football at half back, and when they think they can get the corridor owned, they'll try to go through the middle, but they're just not finding the pass. Haswell's been on the end of a couple of passes. Here's the centre kick as it finds its way to Jones Hughes, and under pressure he takes a nice overhead. Now the runners are coming through. Long to Rowe. Rowe versus Coughlin. Rowe didn't even need to use his body. He stood tall and no contact came his way, and he took an overhead mark 40 metres from goal.
Look at that replay. There was the kick into the middle there which found Jones Hughes, but there was 4 Doncaster players who couldn't get to him in time, and then by all going to him, there was just runners everywhere, and they just get sucked to the ball and they're not fit enough to do that.
So it's an interesting, I think they know they're controlling the game, that they're controlling it so much that they dictate when they go through the corridor. And it's Rowe from 45 metres out, not much of an angle. He's an inconsistent kick at goal, and this one's dropped short, and a mark drop fingers off for Tweedy, and it's a minor score. So Rowe's kicking has let him down in terms of scoreboard. He's kicked 2-4 today, but he's been a great player, especially in this second half.
He's not the only one as Tweedy brings it out. If they kick straight in that first quarter, Gav, we could be talking 100 points.
We'd be telling our own stories, I reckon, between ourselves.
Coughlin, probably been Doncaster's best player, goes up the line. Not sure who exactly to, but it's fallen into the hands there of a shark, and he gives the handball off to the runner, Quinvalent, and he was the runner, and he ran into trouble. DeLuca, short ball, Shalakis just over his head, he'll gather, got met by Coman, broke free of the tackle, handball to Saravolo, handball to Whitling on his left boot, hooked it. 11-19-85 Doncaster East. Doncaster 5-3-33.
Tobin Brothers' point of the day.
Well, it's up there. We've had so many contenders. As Ramboldi brings it back in. Ryan James will be still disappointed as he goes way up the centre because they want that percentage booster, don't they, Brash? As Vickers has got it from out the back, and he goes with the barrel. Didn't quite get the connection. Ryan's back there. It's a 2-on-1. Jamar's got no speed, and Gordon comes off him and spears the ball into Jackson Green at centre half back. He chips it into the corridor. They're toying with them now. He goes wide. It looks like Haswell went wide up to Whitling. Handball over top to Locke. He's got a runner inboard if he wants him. Locke, though, on the opposite boot, pops it out in front of Phelan. Ramboldi does well to get there. Phelan brought it to ground. Will he go back and get it? No, he won't. He'll allow his teammate to come through. His handball over the top, though, works out to Coman. Coman to Hendon. Hendon to Marn. And then Marn up the line. Simon White should mark this. He marks this every day of the week.
Especially on Saturdays.
Especially on Saturday. He marks them all day of the week, and he's marked it on this Saturday. Goes into the corridor. Great kick to Appleby. Brasher's favourite for the Eastland player of the day. He's got Saravolo short if he wants him. Rowe's on the lead. Look at that kick. Beautiful kick onto the chest of Samuel Rowe. And he'll have another shot. This time, he'll kick over the top to Chris Phelan. He's kicked straight all day. That's not the worst idea. Give it to him. And he'll line up from the pocket as we go. Boundary side to Brett Beston. No, sorry, Besto. He's gone short of Appleby. They are toying with them, the Lions. Please stop it. We need to cross to Besto.
Thanks, boys. Jack Shalakis just came past me, and he looks pretty proper. He's done his ankle, I think. I doubt that we'll see him back today.
Now, Appleby's going to line up. Gav, he had a couple of shots in that third quarter.
It's like pass the parcel, but there's no music playing, boys. Someone can kick for goal. It'd be great.
They're passing it for the sake of passing it. There was a beautiful kick from Appleby to Rowe before. It deserved him to go back and kick it from 50, but nonetheless, Appleby, if he kicks this, I reckon he's got player of the day wrapped up. 20 metres out, slide angle, kick. As missed. So it's up for grabs still, the player of the day. 11-20-86 Doncaster East. Doncaster 5-3-33. Brash.
15 goals, 31 Norwood kick last week against Doncaster. So they had 46 shots. This is heading very much the same way.
What is it about them, Gav?
Yeah, they're doing something right. but it's now the long kick out. No mark taken for Doncaster, but ground level ball. They're flowing through Anarchis. Anarchis kicks it on the outside of his right boot and gets it to the left wing. So that was a nice touch by him as his kick found his teammate in Barassi. Barassi goes long to half forward. Jamar's underneath it. He looks tired and dejected as it goes past him and out of bounds.
And they're standing the mark well.
I reckon Chris would be disappointed with a couple of his senior players, Coleman and Malloy, hardly been in the contest today at all.
Jared Beanland, score centre.
We've got some Div 1 scores here. Moral Bark really pulling ahead from Montrose 12-10-82 to 7-9 at 51. And Beaconsfield, well, Bayswater, good accuracy accuracy in general might have put paid to Bayswater's efforts here. Beaconsfield 11-3-69 to 6-13-49.
Oh, Vickers was smart to get that free kick because if you're watching on the stream, he ducked his shoulder into the tackle and the tackler was like, there's no way I could tackle him anywhere but his shoulder, and impeding was Jones, but that was smart by Vickers. Got down low, rolled himself into the tackler, and he got a free kick on the boundary line as Spencer knocked it down to Anarchis. Anarchis put a hand pass forward, and he hoped someone was there, and Vickers did well by him close to the boundary line. So it's going to be, this could be Tobin Brothers' goal of the day just by degree of difficulty. So he's put it on the bend and it's got no bend. It's gone to the opposite pocket and nearly out of bounds on the full, but off hands. It's a boundary throw in from the opposite pocket.
Yeah, he went the drop punt there, Gav, which is interesting.
I think he tried to put some bend on it, but he actually flushed it straight.
Some swang, some swerve. But thrown in. J-Mar got the hit out into the corridor. Nice hit, but no one was coming through. Eventually Hendon got there, got his little kick smothered. And then the line's clear to the outer side. Jacoby there with Heath, and Heath just got rid of him. In the end, coming through is Milford Robinson. Hooks it back to where it came from. We've done circle work here. Who's underneath it? Anarchis flies. And it's a good mark. It's a really strong mark taken there by Jake Whitling. He's an underrated player.
Hasn't done much wrong either, Whitling, today.
We need to get the Telstra tracker out there on Whitling. I'd love to see how many Ks he covers. If one of our sponsors is listening and has a couple of GPSs, we'd love to plug him into the broadcast as Riley Jones goes high, up and under down the wing. Should be all the Sharks. And in the end, not the first time today, 4 Sharks have managed to not take possession and just spill it over the boundary line for a boundary throw. So we go to score centre with Jared Beanland.
Some Div 2 scores. Templestowe have absolutely hit a wall. They kicked the first 5 goals of the game. South Belgrave now up against them at 6-13-49 to Templestowe 5-3-33. And speaking of 6-13-49, that's the score of the Basin up against Baronia 7-6-48. 1 point leaders there.
And now Doncaster trying to work their way forward. They'll get the umpire giving them a free kick as making it obvious was Milford Robinson running onto the ball, tackled without it. Sorry, that was Marn. He hands it off to Hendon, goes along, hoping for a fly. Nearly won there by Vander. He got up high, but the ball was nowhere near him by the end as it falls to the ground and it's out wide, hitting Jones Hughes. And now they'll quickly get away from the crime scene. Donny East, they go from half back to half forward very quickly, as they don't share it too well and it spills out off hands and out of bounds.
That's probably the best thing Todd Vander has done all day, and he didn't actually do anything.
Their transition from the back line, Doncaster East, has been really good all day, and I think that's probably their little. We underestimate just how strong of a setup they've got back there, led by Simon White, who's just that reliable.
They hold their width there. Jones Hughes could have easily been sucked closer to the corridor, but because he stayed wide, they had an out kick as they get this ball inside forward 50 once again. The bounce is done, Tweedy there. Unfortunate for him. Phelan's got it, and umpire says, give it to me, just as he dropped it. So unfortunate for the Sharks. So 12 minutes gone in this last quarter. Phelan been pretty quiet, but that's probably something Ryan James will be happy with, that not all their stars have really had dominant days. Spencer's ended up with the footy, kick to a horrible spot if you're a Sharks defender. Whitling's underneath it. Tackle, got his handball out to Phelan. Phelan sits on top of it, wants to slap it forward, can't in the end. The Sharks players just dive in. It's like a rugby maul. Hendon comes out with it, got the handball to Marn. He sweeps the handball towards Coughlin. Scala has intercepted it, and we'll get another ball up 25 metres out from the Doncaster East goal. So, yeah, it's just so tight. There's no, like I said, I keep repeating myself, there's no width. The Spencer just takes out the ruck and says, I can't be bothered tapping it down to you blokes. I'm going to take it out myself. I've got to kick up the line and found a target. In Mincini, gave it to Marn, handball over the top to Quinvillan. He goes up the line as well. Vickers might be the target, but the kick's way too long and too wide, and Tom Gordon's able to come across and gather it. His low spearing ball is slapped out of bounds and we'll have a boundary throwing 80 metres out.
What's the use of J-Mar today? He's just standing in the goal square because he can't run.
Well, it's a liability to go.
He's playing like Daniel Bedome, but Daniel Bedome's playing in a team, again, not the same standard, but in a team that has a lot of the ball. Doncaster East don't have a lot of the ball. They need quick forwards that can run back to goal, don't they, Gav?
Yeah, I'm not. It's just one of those days for Jamar where he doesn't have the energy. Not to say that he won't do a good job, but if he can't get to the contest with Gordon, he's not in the game. As now it's Doncaster East off half-back sharing it around. Appleby again runs onto it, but he runs into a tackle, and Marn wraps him up, and that was nice strength by Marn this time. Tackling.
Well, it's probably hurt him more because Gordon's just been able to have almost a free reign to go wherever you want and no one's going to be following you. And because Doncaster East have controlled it so much.
Quick score around the ground. Rowville 14-17, 101. North Ringwood 6-7-43. Thanks to Ray Baird for that one. There's a shot on goal here. Tom Gordon, goalkeeper save. Put the left paw out and Riley Jones runs away with it. He's got a target out here in Stoneham. Stoneham stepped out of one tackle, got the handball off. It would have been a training run if his teammate could have clung onto it. Well done by Vanderhaar, got the handball back. Thiel round the body. Vickers is the target, but sliding in to take the mark looks to be Riley Jones in the back pocket. And once again, Doncaster East repel any attack the Sharks have made. They trail by 53 points, the home side. The Lions have, bar goal kicking, been dominant today. Anarchis came through, made an intercept. Gordon will go back and get it, though, under pressure. He just keeps it in front of himself. And the two old Bulls knock it over the line for a boundary throw-in.
We did allude to at the start of the contest that any opportunity that Tommy Gordon was going to run off Jamar was going to be to a Doncaster East advantage, and that's exactly how it's played out all afternoon.
Rucks go at it. Spencer runs onto the bouncing ball as it drops short of the contest. It comes out to Doncaster on the outer circle of that stoppage, but it's stolen out of grasp by Green. Green couldn't run himself out of a tackle. That halfback, so we'll hand it back to the field umpire. So scoreboard reads Doncaster East 11-20-86, leading Doncaster 5-3-33. Now back in play, Whitling again, getting onto the ball, gives it to White. They just whack so beautifully at the halfback, and it's now Doncaster East kicking long to the wing, but Tweedy in good position, running to the boundary line, stretches the right palm out, brings it into his grasp and takes the mark, goes inside the corridor now, long ball to centre forward. The Flyers sort of don't fly, and it falls down to ground level. Two grabs at it. Is that a mark paid or just a disputed ball? So it'll be a ball up 40 metres from goal as White laughs about what's going on and picking himself up is Vickers. He's tried hard, but it's finding it hard to get into open space today. Ground level, there's a heap of players around it as everyone seems tired. At the back of the pack, Malloy picks it up. He throws it on the boot from 45. That might be... Oh, no, it's off to the left. It looked like it was bending, and the goal umpire refused to go with it.
Maybe our depth perception off, because it eventually came through the centre.
From our view, it looked like.
Maybe we'll trust the goal umpire, but that bent sent was very close.
Look, I don't think it's going to influence the contest, Gav, but we want to get everything right. 16 and a half minutes gone, 5-4-30.
So anyway, Malloy kicked a point.
He did kick a point. Doncaster East 11-20-86. Steve White on the boundary.
I was going to say, that's probably the front runner for behind of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually going to give that award out. There's been so many. Gordon brings out, looking for Rowe. Kick got out the back. Here's Carlson. Can he get a disposal? No, he can't. And I reckon there's a few Doncaster East players that will want to get into him. Carlson has been more focused on the man than the ball, I think it's fair to say today. As they have another ball up. Hit out from the Lions. Coming through his tail. And just shoved over the line by James Locke. Stronger, fitter, and they've moved the ball better today, the Lions. Doncaster are going to have a hard look on the training track and figure out how they can make this work. They've defended too deep and they've not had enough width around the ball to create any sort of actual chain from clearances. The Lions, once again, walk it out of the stoppage. Handball in the direction of Whitling, who just keeps running. Look at the burst of speed. Left the ball behind. Little handball through. DeLuca wants his left boot. Run down by Rambaldi. Umpire says holding the ball. DeLuca says he got a handball to it. I can see both sides of the argument.
He had prior.
Hoiberden plays on immediately. Kick to Marn. Made him work. Marn's got an option short. Ignores him. Goes long down the line. Looking for the lead of Vanderhaar. But sitting in the hole and doing well is Mitchell Ryan. Been impressive all day, the youngster. Coming through Jacoby, being quiet. Quinlivan left it behind, and then Jacoby got wrapped up by Simon White. And we'll have a ball up on the half-forward flank for the Sharks.
Yeah, it's just been a tale of woe this afternoon for Doncaster.
So ball up again. Not sure who's rucking here. It will be Spencer eventually. Took it out of the ruck, got a kick, and then it's hacked out of there. Will it fall onto a Doncaster chest? It won't. And this plays, you're right, Brash, he's been very impressive, Mitchell Ryan. I don't know whether he's a Beverly Hills product. I'm not exactly sure, but he's been impressive. Brings it into the corridor. Early whistle for Paparonis on the mark. Umpire eventually said play on and then said...
Holding the ball.
Holding the ball? No.
Yes.
just pointing the wrong way, I thought. Just pointed the wrong way. Holding the ball, going the way of Todd Vanderhaar. Opportunistic, because Paparonis really should have gobbled that mark.
Yeah, just a little fumble there by Paparonis. That was all it was. Vanderhaar pounced, and
Well, he can make a quiet day better, because if he kicks this, he'll at least have his name in the proverbial paper, the hypothetical paper. He'll have it online, Todd Vanderhaar, on a pretty much quiet day for him. He keeps it low, kicks it through the middle. So Doncaster get the first goal and only goal of this quarter. They are 6-4-40. They trail by 46 points. Doncaster East 11-20. Yes, 20. 86 on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard as we go to the score centre with Jared Beanland.
Boronia have hit the front once again. What? They are up by a goal, 6-54 to 6-13, 49. Oakley District making a decent account of themselves, 9-5, 59 to Knox, 11-13, 79.
And Brash, that would leave the base in 0-3. I know that they've played Ringwood, Heathmont and Boronia, but it's pretty hard to make finals from 0-3.
It is, but I still reckon there might be a bit of time left in that game, I reckon, Matt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Ollie went up against Spencer. Locke picks it up, hands it off to the running player, and now they're going in through was Ryan. Ryan gets it to Phil, and he has to pick it up on the bounce. In the tackle, he gets the kick on. Rowe pushes one off, tries to go 2 for 2 as he takes on Tweedy, but Tweedy stands up nicely, and McGarnis gets back onto the ball, and Phelan becomes his tackler as Rowe just feels like he's had a good day. He'll just try to inject himself into a contest and maybe snap another.
What's he got? Phelan's got 3, Rowe's got 2, so maybe they've got a competition between themselves, Gav.
It's big problems here. And what's Green going to do? He danced his way out of trouble, and then he kicked it backwards. And Rowe was like, why is it with me? And now it's kicked out of defence by Marn, but Marn is high and wide. And how did that stay in? It might have gone out and then drifted back in. So it's Ollie going to get a hand pass received. His hand pass doesn't get caught. And now another kick by Ryan, and Tweedy just stands there and goes, I took a mark. Thank you very much.
A comedy of errors is how I'd put that, Gav.
Tweedy now takes a bounce. He's looking for the overlap. The overlap finally there for Ramboldi. Ramboldi goes inboard, finds to Coughlin. Coughlin's got a spearing pass going, but the two defenders who zone in come and pick it up through Haswell. Haswell to Whitling. Whitling's going to run. He's done it all day. Long ball to Rowe. Rowe stands his position. McGarnis, brilliant. He had the punch and then he grasped it in and he pushes off Rowe, but his teammates are not helping him. They can't get it out of defence. Hoverton dropped it, spilled it under pressure. Here's Donny East. They can't in the open goal get it to the line. And every kick they have, they rush it when they need to have composure, and another minor score.
And they did the Charlie Haley bounce, Gav.
They rush so beautifully, and then it just goes all pear-shaped near goals. 11-21. 87 leading Doncaster 6-4-40.
Brash makes a good point. Doncaster, 15-21 last week, 11-21 this week. If the opposition could kick straight, it could be a whole lot worse for the Sharks. Scala smothered the kick from Tweedy, and then Rowe is able to wrap it up and they'll have another stoppage here, the Lions. And yeah, you're right. But I reckon they started so badly in front of goal. It's in their minds. The Lions, I don't think they're notoriously a bad goal kicking side.
Yeah, they're just high octane, and it's sort of they run out of puff when they see the goals.
Anarchist ducked into his own player. That's how close all the Sharks players are. Coughlin, been their best, stepped inside traffic and kicked long down the line. Carlson came across, connected with some bodies and found the footy. Gave it to Barassi. Barassi goes short, got a target and finds him in Vanderhaar. Vanderhaar's got a deep forward, looks to be Jacobi. He ignored him. Vickers is running back to goal. That's where the kick's gone. Gordon zoned off beautifully, read it all the way. Couldn't bring it down. Vickers picked his pocket. Left foot snap. Bending too much. One behind. That would have been Tobin Brothers' goal of the day. 6-5-41 Doncaster. Doncaster East 11-21-87 on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. 22 minutes gone. And Brash, Tom Gordon actually did everything right there. He just didn't take the mark. Zoned off his defender as soon as he knew the ball wasn't going there and got to the contest.
Yeah, he's done everything. He's done well today, Tom Gordon, in his return game. He did exactly what I reckon Ryan James would have said. Run off JMR as much as you can and be that creative player that.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried about Doncaster going forward with their scoring because I thought, we looked at today, we didn't know how JMR would go, and obviously, he doesn't look like he's fit enough to be able to be a real key target in a Premier Division team.
So this time last week, Doncaster East ran literally out of time with the last 6 goals to only go down by less than a kick against Vermont.
Yeah.
But we're no danger of Doncaster East losing this game as they control the ball. It's like if you had a heat map, the ball would be from left half back to, it'd be in red, and the rest of the ground would be nice and green. So it's really, they've just controlled it around half-back from one side to the other, and at their will, they look to see the middle, and if it's open, they'll go.
But what they've done is they've spread all day. They've spread the Doncaster defence, so they can't do what Tom Gordon did. Because Tom Gordon's close enough, he can zone off. You can't zone off if you're 40 metres away, and that's what Ryan James was talking about. They want to make one-on-one contests because they back Phelan, they back Rowe, they back Shalakis, they back Scalia to beat opponents one-on-one. As Marn's kick smothered, centre wing for the Sharks. Could have been a free kick for a shove. Umpire said play on. And then coming through his tweet, he's tried hard all day. He's burst through a couple of defenders there. Got the handball to Spencer. Spencer, short little ball, goes about 8 metres. And Narcus underneath it should get a free kick for holding. Umpire said play on. Barassi's got it now on the forward 50 arc to the top of the goal square. Can the mark be taken by Van der Haar? It can't. Vickers came through. Might have been taken high. Got his handball back. And then off one step and missing is Minicini. Really should have kicked that one. 6-6-42, the Sharks. Doncaster East 11-21-87. 24 minutes gone in this final term on the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. Gavin, really, Ryan James will be probably disappointed about this because they're losing this quarter. They've only scored, 2 or 3 behinds, when really they should be pushing on past 100 and getting those percentage
They've had 4
boosters.
behinds, but I reckon they've only had 6 inside 50s. That's how much they're trying to control it off half-back, and the kick-in didn't find the Santoro, and Santoro watched as it floated over his head into the hands of Giacob, and he'll kick from straight in front, hopefully, for his team, their 7th.
Well, like I said, it's making it, on paper, we might look back on this in 6 weeks and go, 40-point win. But really, it should be 80-90.
They haven't really looked like they want to push out this lead. They sort of just wanted to hold the possession in the back half.
Jacob, he's testing the goal umpire, and he pumps his chest for a minor score left side of the right post for the kicker. And it's a minor score. Doncaster 6-7-43, trailed by 44 in the Bendigo Bank scoreboard. Doncaster East 11-21-87.
And we heard from Best at three-quarter time that they were keen to push it out. Ryan James wanted them to keep going, and maybe the players have taken it upon themselves as Gordon this time doesn't go short, goes long. At least if he turns it over, they won't be having a shot on goal. He doesn't turn it over, though. Scalia, been impressive all day.
That's the other one.
Oh, is it? Sorry?
Hugh.
34.
Jones Hughes. Sorry, I saw the 4. He goes short over the top. Finds Stoneham in the 32. He's got Phelan on, goes low. Tweedy read it and got there, but it's kept in. Eventually, he goes over the line for a boundary throwing. One on by Tweedy. Again, for Doncaster, Brash, Ryan. Who have been the players that impressed for me? It's Coghlan, Tweedy. Spencer's good.
And obviously, Chris has tried hard, but no support.
Yeah.
That's about I could only find 4.
Yeah. Marn's been good, except he gave away that yellow card in the first quarter where it really set the tone. They've Hendon around it. Gave it to Marn. Got a lot of it. Does well. Poise. Got through there, and they've got a man in the corridor. Finds him. Barassi. He's got a runner over the top of Minicini. Ignores him, goes longer still. Gordon will get there, got the spoil. Jones is underneath it. Mincini is the first to take the ball and just gets wrapped up by Jones. And should he have given the handball there to the runner instead of that kick? Again, might just be a bit of decision-making.
Just hasn't been the way they've played today.
Spencer came in, unopposed, got it, kicked it forward. Coming off his line there is Haswell. Stepped out of Van der Haar's tackle, gave it off to Jones. And he goes across to Mitchell Ryan. Been one of the 4 runners for the 4 workers, workman of the day, Mitchell Ryan. Probably the lightest player on the Doncaster East list, but he's toiled hard and won the battle against Vickers, although he's turned it over immediately. Commentators curse straight to Tweedy.
So Tweedy looks inboard, centre forward. Nice pass. Drop ball, though, by Carlson. Gives it back to Hendon. Hendon looks left, looks right, has to go sideways, so it's slowed down in the hands of Milford Robertson. He loads up a long kick, flyers. Will the Flying Dutchman get it? I think he's got it. And it's Van der Haar having a shot. Was that a mark? Don't spoil our day by not giving him a shot at goal. Let's see what the decision is. Party pooper. No kick at goal for Doncaster, but it won't matter anyway. It's Doncaster losing today against their local rivals. Doncaster 6-7-43, but the victors, Doncaster East, 11-21-87. The Lions won by 44 points in the Derby game, and that is their first win for season 2022. And they're looking good. Good lineup have Donny East. And Matt, can you go through the goal kickers before we talk more about this game?
Give it a red-hot crack for you, Gav. 3 goals to Chris Phelan, 3 goals 4 to Daniel Scala, and then 2 goals to Sam Rowe, 2 goals to Dylan Heath, and a single to James Appleby. And then for the Sharks, 2 goals to Mark Jamar and singles to Kane Hendon, Jack Marn, Kyle Vickers, and Todd Van der Haar. Best on that will probably search for a couple of interviews while they're out there on the ground. Have a thought about your player of the day, your goal of the day. Brought to you by Tobin Brothers and Eastland, respectively, and the 4 workers, workman of the day. We'll start with you, Ryan. The workman of the day, Mitchell Ryan, for me. You know, Vickers was the danger player. for Doncaster in the forward half. I'm sure that would have been the way Doncaster thought about it, and Ryan beat him. Vickers got a bit of the footy, but Ryan beat him, had more influence on the game personally.
For Workman Day, I'm just going to go with Gordon. I thought he was sensational. He was able just to be able to influence the game, running off Jamar, being able to create, help other teammates and create a lot of the run that they had from the back coming forward.
Yeah, I'll go with you, Matt. I think Ryan, I thought he did an excellent job this afternoon.
I'm thinking about Benny McGarnett. I reckon in defence, he was the one player who won contests, brought the ball to ground. He read the ball well in the flight, had to because it was coming in often enough. But that's for me. I just like to give him some credit as a mention, just so at least he gets a good mention.
Well, Mitchell Ryan wins 2-1-1.
He certainly wasn't Doncaster's worst player, Gav.
And there was a few in the running for that one. Tobin Brothers' goal of the day. Now, we only had 17 goals despite having 50-odd shots.
Phelan's third one where he had to get rotated. He got rotated around 360 and had to kick on his non-preferred foot.
We don't mind that. All in unison. All right, Chris Phelan is the winner of the Tobin Brothers' goal of the day. Player of the day, Eastland. I've got James Appleby. I know we usually do 3-2-1. James Appleby for me. When the game was alive, countless possessions in the first quarter, countless tackles in the second quarter, and then in the third and fourth term, proved he had a bit more outside run. He's not just an inside ball.
No.
I think sorry, Brush.
We'll put it this way. He's lifted his game to another level, I reckon, James Appleby. He's a captain now. I think it's really working with him. The players love him. He's a respected player, and he leads from the front.
Yeah, he's the most dangerous midfielder, getting the ball going forward, and also just on the reverse on defensively. That big tackle in the back line that created a set shot there. He just worked hard all day, and I can't argue with.
I think he probably get votes off the umpire in the opening 2 rounds too. I think, Matt.
Gavin, any?
No, I don't disagree. Look, I started to circle a lot of players.
Okay, boys, thanks very much. Look, we've got one of the heroes of the Doncaster East Side down here today, Chris Phelan, who kicked 3 goals. Chris, you were telling me just before you've had a bit of a disrupted pre-season, but you went all right today.
It snuck a couple of goals in. I don't know if I went all right. Playing deep forward, so let the boys do the work in the midfield, and got on the end of a couple, which was good.
It's going to be pretty tough. We just think you're talking about the possible player of the day. And I mean, there was so many great performances from you today. Who was the sort of standout that you thought might have got the chocolates today in that field?
A bit hard to see from the goal square. I was pretty far away from it all day. But I think Dill Heath was playing a bit of a different role for us. We didn't really have a ruckman today, so he was playing high half forward, pushing in the midfield as an extra mid. And he snuck forward and kicked a couple of goals too, so I reckon Heath went pretty well.
Yeah, you did pretty well on the ruck, because if you look at the big boys in that Doncaster side, we talked about it before the game and we thought you might struggle a bit there, but you held your own.
Yeah, we had Big Dill Ollie. I think his instructions were just to bash and crash, sort of halve the contest. I mean, pretty hard against Spencer. I think even Clarkey struggles a little bit with Spencer. He's pretty handy ruckman, so yeah, he definitely held his own. He did a good job.
Anything you think, from your point of view, okay, so you're in the goal square, so maybe a bit hard to see, but what do you think maybe areas that you might like to work on for next week going forward?
We just got to keep playing our brand of footy. I mean, we have a couple of lapses. We had a couple of lapses today. It didn't really cost us. We had a couple of lapses last week, about 15 minutes, and Vermont piled on 5 or 6 goals in each of those. So we just got to stay switched on for a full game, put a full 4 quarters together, and then I think we'll be a red-hot crack. Yeah,
there was a period of just before that, sort of in that second quarter there, and I think you were ahead by about 20 points, and they came at you quite hard, and they got back to about 10 points, sort of heading towards half-time, and you got a couple towards the end. So I guess you're always going to get periods where, I mean, you're not going to be able to play a complete game, so there's always going to be periods where you're going to drop off for a little while.
Yeah, that's it, mate. The boys are giving me a bit of a wrap-up here, so I've got to go. Thanks.
Thanks for your time. Thanks very much.
Besto, he wants to get in the Besto, may as well get in the showers with him. Jared, scores around the doors, around the grounds. What have you got for us?
All right, so it looks like we've got some full-time scores here. Moral Bark 15-14, 104. Looks like they've defeated Montrose 13-11, 89. Sensational finish in the second division clash at Badaram Reserve, 9-13. 67. The Basin have drawn with Baronia 10-7.
There might still be time left. We were a bit short, but I like it.
Full time.
It's full time. It's guaranteed full time. A draw
by Ryan. It's full time. And we had one more, but I'll throw it back to you while I find that.
Yeah, absolutely. A draw. Our first draw of the year, Brash. And, well, there you go. The Basin still haven't won one, but at least they're not 0-3.
Yeah, well, they're 0-2.5.
The other one that I had was Oakley District 9-7-61. They put up a fight, but were in the end defeated by Knox 16-20, 1-16.
Well, so Knox get their first win of the year. Good on them, Brash, getting their first win of the year. Ryan, you were worried about Doncaster. In 90 seconds before we throw away here, give us a couple of words on how they can improve. What are the key areas for Chris Anakis this week?
I think the forward structure. I don't think they had much going, and I think there's a worry when Vickers and Van Haar were probably not today, but they're your targets, and they're not key forwards. They're not going to be enough in a Premier Division to beat many sides. So they need some more targets. Jamar just wasn't it. And then Trent, just structurally, there was no pressure on the Doncaster East forwards. They just did not change anything all day. They just let them lead up and
they sagged back, didn't they?
Made no changes.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure calling with you at the last minute notice. But thanks very much to Gav Casey, Wayne Brasher, Ryan Long, Jared Beelan. We can hear this song in the background, but we're going to run out of time. Brucey Proust, Lee Green from LKL Media, and Megan, Brett Beston and Steve White. It's been Eastland EFNL match of the day. 1 down. Well done to Doncaster East.
It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the yellow and blue. Our supporters roar every time that we score, and it gives them all the battery. And the efforts we forgot where the boys come playing.
As Sarah opened her best friend Jackie's wedding invitation, she was overcome with a wave of emotion. While her two young boys